together as we initiate chaos theory guarantees that we'll play like lightning shots sounding like thunder. For every time in the face that it hits us, we're faster. Well, they should know by now. They see the world keeps trying to shake us. It only waits us. The pendulum swings. The pendulum swings. It's in a beautiful darkness. Only another. It's full steam ahead. Full steam ahead. All aboard the Petty Express. Misdirected from the start. It's a runaway train. I come a freight train. I come a freight train. In a beautiful darkness, the Petty Express. In a beautiful darkness.
Good morning, everyone. We just had kind of orient you. We ended up yesterday right before the defense was going to get kind of into why they were objecting about some of the financial documents coming in when Kouri isn't really being charged beyond insurance fraud. Her trial for the financial crimes she's implicated in isn't this trial. So the defense is kind of making the point that why is the state allowed to go into this financial evidence when this isn't her financial trial? So that's kind of where we are. I have bumped it back down to 1.25. And I did start a little bit behind. So we are going to hear kind of the full bit of the argument. I will say that, excuse me, while I find this defense to be very zealous and very good defenders of their clients' rights, they just always seem to be tonally just a bit off. They seem to be not zealous advocates, but kind of abrasive. Even Skippy, the lawyer, who I think has really toned down and actually become kind of the gem of the defense team, which who would have thought on the first day, they all seem rather abrasive with very kind people. The judge, in my opinion, has been very thoughtful and very fair. But let's jump into this and see what we're going to work with. I do have the court boosted up. I will have the closed captions on, but we are diving in.
Forgive me, Ms. Nestor, the Barney house, among other things, went into foreclosure, correct?
After Ms. Richins was arrested, yes, that's correct.
Okay. And this is the house in which there was a loan from a friend that was used for a purpose different than what was represented. Is this that one?
Kind of. So originally, Kouri Richins Realty purchased the property. She ended up moving a friend in after she had purchased it. They were trying to arrange a purchase. The friend could not qualify for a loan. So they were trying to do a seller financing agreement where the friend would pay a chunk to Kouri to make up, so Kouri could pay off the hard money lenders, and then Kouri would just keep the property. They would seller finance it over time. There was a dispute right before Ms. Richins was arrested. She was holding off switching the deed to the name of the friend because there's reasons why that was. It had to do with a insurance claim on the house that was pending. But there is debate about whether or not the delay in switching the deed to the friend's name was somehow dishonest or misleading to the friend or had been misled. That's up in the air. So if we're only looking at the Barney property for the purpose of this property profit analysis, I don't have a problem with that. If we're going to get into all of the representations that were made about the property, whether or not there was, I don't even think they're saying there was fraud, but whether there was dishonesty or any of that, then I want to have a 404B analysis. So I guess I'm just alerting everybody that this was one of the issues in my motion in limine. This was one of the issues the court said you probably have to hear foundation for at trial.
No, I ruled on this one specifically, but that's fine. We can raise it again.
Right. So I guess I'm just, as an abundance of caution before the jury comes back in, if we're going to get into all of that, I want to have a 404B analysis. If we're not, then I don't mind for purposes of just whether did you make a profit or loss on the property. That is irrelevant to me. I don't care about that.
Mr. Bloodworth, tell me where the state's headed with respect to the Barney property.
Your Honor, it is beyond that column of profit and loss analysis. It will go into the $45,000 down payment that Ms. Barney made on the property, tracing those funds to pay, I think it was a Fund 5 payday lender.
Put differently, to pay something other than the hard money loan on the property.
Correct.
Okay. And then it eventually went into foreclosure.
It did eventually go into foreclosure. We may get there. I don't know that we will get there.
Okay. Any other detail regarding the Barney property that you tend to elicit?
Yes, Your Honor. So initially the Barney property was financed by a more traditional mortgage lender. In getting financing on the Barney property in June of 2021, Kouri Richins submitted a bank statement to the lender purportedly from AFCU showing a certain balance. Her bank statement from AFCU shows a different balance. C&E's bank statement from AFCU shows that first certain balance. And so it would be an exercise in admitting those three bank statements and moving on. I think that is consistent with the court's ruling. The other issue that may arise is there was an email from that hard money lender questioning Ms. Richins about her credit score in comparison to the available cash in the purported bank statement. And then
Okay, I am not going to lie, and I know this is a weird thing to have envy of, Freud. No, I don't have penis envy. I have mustache envy. Can I tell you that 5-year-old Mo desperately wanted a handlebar mustache with the wax curly cues? I was in my villain era, and I definitely wanted to have a mustache with like a curly cue with that I could go, "Mwah." Like that was my biggest goal. My mom was like, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" I was like, "I want to have a mustache." So as I said, if I were still going to be wishing for a mustache, that would have been the one I wanted.
Response, Kouri Richins provides an explanation of her credit score that is relevant because, well, the inquiry is relevant because the lender had noticed a disconnect between her balance and her credit score. Kouri Richins' response is relevant because she had a very different response to a different lender in response to a similar question.
Okay, so Ms. Nestor, I think it would be appropriate to give the jury a 404B instruction to the following effect, and we can have a conversation about the details here, but something to the effect of you are about to hear evidence that defendant's representations to her lenders were not accurate before the acts charged in this case. This evidence is not admitted to prove a character trait of the defendant or to show that she acted in a manner consistent with that trait. You may consider this evidence, if at all, for the limited purpose of determining a non-character issue such as motive. Keep in mind that the defendant is on trial for the crimes charged in this case only. You may not convict the defendant simply because you believe she may have committed some other acts at some other time.
Your Honor, could you please read that very first part where you said you're about to hear, what was that?
Evidence that defendant's representations to lenders were not accurate before the acts charged in this case.
Okay, it's not just lenders though. It's also her statements to Ms. Barney, who was her
I don't know
tenant.
that we're going to get into evidence of that, are we?
So
I can add that to the list. That's fine. But it wasn't clear to me that the back and forth between
The lenders and others, because part of this
Fine.
is in an email to her,
Okay.
to a banker. It's not, through her.
lenders and others is not
Miss Nestor, it's called a foundation. Look, ma'am, I suck at girl too. Like it took me a long time to understand makeup under lighting, and Rosalind Duke really helped me out, so thank you so much to her. But that definition you're trying to give for a cheek line, blend, 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 blend. For a compliment sandwich, though, I think that cobalt blue on you, it looks very beautiful. So I think you're definitely a jewel tone, and I would wear very rich toned colors. But blend, 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 blend.
Problem.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I am so a visual person. May I just look at it? Would you have?
So I believe this is coming in because the state has chosen to try to prove a motive in this case. Which is an extra step that they don't have to do. They did this also in the Paul Canero trial, which is why the Paul Canero trial also included a financial part of the trial, just very much like this today. So maybe it helps to make sense because, it really doesn't make sense that you would end someone's life over money, but maybe explaining just what a quagmire she was in. Now, basically, the jury will be instructed that they're not allowed to use this to say, okay, well, she's a liar here. So, you know, she if she's lied here, then she's definitely capable of murder. No. The state is using this to show that she was basically taking Eric's life was going to get her out of financial issues. She was unaware that he had changed the beneficiary.
In your hand?
It's CR 411. It is the standard Muji second 404.
No, just the very first part. The part that you wrote.
Representation.
And this is their feed.
Defendant's ruling regarding intrinsic evidence. Defendant's 404B objection to the admissibility and defendant's objection to the admissibility of this evidence under rules 401, 401, 02, and 03 are overruled for the reasons discussed on the record previously and written about extensively by the court. The issue before the court today is the form of a 404B instruction to be given before the evidence comes in. I think we've arrived at that form, correct, Ms. Nestor?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Bloodworth, any addition there?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Anything else before we invite the jury?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Nestor?
No, sir.
Okay. We're ready for the jury.
And thank you, Wolfram. I didn't even see the troll, so thank you so much. Wednesday, Adam.
Please have a seat as you come in. Thank you. Please have a seat. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, in additional instruction, please listen carefully. You are about to hear evidence that defendants' representations to lenders and other individuals and entities were not accurate during the time before the acts charged in this case. This evidence is not admitted to prove a character trait of the defendant or to show that she acted in a manner consistent with that trait. You may consider this evidence, if at all, for the limited purpose of determining defendant's motive. Keep in mind that the defendant is on trial for the crimes charged in this case and for those crimes only. You may not convict the defendant simply because you believe she may have committed some other acts at some other time. Mr. Bloodworth, please proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ma'am, when we left off, we had highlighted the column labeled 299/Barney. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Now, after we've gotten through the lawyer rigmarole, does anyone object to going to 1.5 for the accountology? If we do need to slow down, I have no problems with it. I just know that this is going to be a lot of math not adding up and me not wanting to do math. So I will bump it up. If you guys need it to bump it back down, let me know. But this is just going to be a lot of where in the hell did Kouri have money for anything?
What does 299/Barney refer to?
There's a house, the address starts with 299, and it's a house where Kouri Richins' best friend, Chelsea Barney, lived. So that's my abbreviation of that house.
And did you analyze that purchase transaction?
I did.
Are you familiar with Iron Bridge Financial?
Yes.
What is Iron Bridge?
They are a hard money lender, and they are the lender that Kouri Richins engaged for this particular property purchase.
What, ma'am, is a hard money lender?
Hard money lenders are typically it's called hard money because the terms are hard, and the interest rates are higher than conventional loans like from a bank or a credit union typically. They also have very strict default clauses. They're usually used for shorter term lending. So there will be like a specific term, usually 6 months or 12 or something. And the terms are defined at a certain interest rate. And then upon default, it's an exponential growth. The interest rate quite often will double or other terms. Yeah.
And do fix and flip businesses often use hard money lenders?
They do.
Did Kouri Richins apply to Iron Bridge for a loan secured by the Barney home?
Yes.
Did you review materials in Iron Bridge's loan file? Scott, can I get 5-57, please? Ma'am, do you recognize this document?
I do.
What is it?
This is an America First Credit Union bank account statement for K.
This is their feed. I think we had to fast forward a little bit.
Did you attempt to verify this bank statement?
I did.
Scott, can I have 5-29 alpha?
I think the witness can see it.
Okay.
Can you see it?
I do not. Sorry. Ma'am, do you recognize this document?
I do.
What is it?
It is the America First Credit Union statement for K. Richins Realty from America First for the account number 6577 for May of 2021. And this was directly from the credit union pursuant to a prosecution subpoena.
Your Honor, the state moves to admit 529A.
Same objections.
529A is admitted. Published now.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Scott, if you can zoom in. Ma'am, what does this present?
This shows in the header, the K. Richins Realty LLC. This time it's using that PO Box 759 in Camas. This is for the account number 6577, and this is the May of 2021 statement.
And what does it show as the balance?
It shows 2 accounts, not 3, and the total at month end is $15,609.93.
Thank you, Scott. If you can swoop to 5-32B. Ma'am, do you recognize this document?
I do.
What is it?
This is the America First Credit Union statement for C&D Stone Masonry, which is Eric Richins' account company. And this is the May of 2021 statement that came directly from the credit union in response to a prosecution subpoena.
The state moves to admit 5-32B, Your Honor.
Same objection.
5-32B is admitted.
And what, ma'am, does this present?
So in the header, we can see the company is C&E Stone Masonry LLC, which is Eric Richins and his business partner's company, and their account is 7664, and this is the account statement for May of 2021.
And what is the ending balance?
The ending balance of those three accounts is $210,898.61.
Is it accurate then that the statement provided by the lender Ironbridge contained the header of Kouri Richins Realty and the account summary for C&E Stone Masonry?
That's right, and also the body of the transactions.
Scott, can I get
Not legal.
Exhibit 2-6, please? Ma'am, do you recognize this document?
I do.
What is it?
It's an email string between Ironbridge and Kouri Richins, and this was from Ironbridge in response to a subpoena from the prosecution.
Your Honor, the state moves 2-6 into evidence.
Same objection plus hearsay, Your Honor.
Let's see. Do we need the top half? Can we focus just on Kouri's? Mike, I'm sorry, let me restate my question. Do you care about the before and after or just Kouri's statement?
Your Honor, the email is the bottom up.
Right.
The state needs to admit the bottom to understand Ms. Richins, the effect here being Ms. Richins. We can reject that first line. I think it doesn't matter either way to the state.
Objection to instructing the jury that not consider any of these statements or those written by Ms. Richins for the truth.
No objection to that instruction.
Ms. Nestor.
Not to the instruction, but remain much into the entire document.
Okay.
Yes, you object.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're about to see Ms. Richins' portion of the email string. You may consider, for any purpose, to whatever extent you the other portions of the email string, you may consider only for the effect they had upon Ms. Richins, upon the listener, not for the truth of any matter asserted in those other portions. Publish 2-6.
Yes, please, Your Honor.
Brittany, in the case I didn't say 2-6 is admitted.
Scott, if you could scroll down to the bottom and enlarge that, please. Yes. And Scott, if you can scroll up to Ms. Richins' reply, please.
Okay, so it says, okay, let me go back to this one. Happy Friday, Kouri. We just got docs out. Looking forward to closing our first deal together. Just wanted to reach out. When I ran your credit, it was lower than I expected, 650. Looks like there's some delinquencies with regards to a few credit cards. I was just a little surprised by that. I know you have a lot of money in the bank to cover expenses. If you wouldn't mind shedding a little light on that, that would be appreciated. Thanks so much. Enjoy the long weekend.
Reply, please.
And then this is what Kouri responded when they were asking, like, Heifer, where in the hell are you going to pay us back? Hi, Richard. I hope you had a great 4th of July weekend. Yeah, sure. Everything is paid off now. It just probably hasn't updated. I recently learned about all this as well, LOL, and my husband decided to explain to me that this was his doing a while ago. We are in the process of a separation for one of many reasons, but this is one of them, to keep it short and sweet. LOL. It's been crazy to say the least. I look forward to working with you guys on our first and hopefully many projects. Who the hell gave this woman money?
Thank you, Scott. Ms. Carrington, did you analyze whether all of Kouri Richins' credit card delinquencies were paid off in July of 2021?
I did.
Were they?
No.
Scott, can I get 5-21? Ma'am, do you recognize this document?
Yes.
What is it?
It's the promissory note between Kouri Richins and Kouri Richins Realty and Ironbridge for the purchase of this house.
Your Honor, the state moves to admit 5-21.
Same objections.
5-21 is admitted.
Scott Wright, if you can zoom in, please, on that top portion. Ms. Carrington, what information does this provide?
Well, starting with the top on the right is it's called a bait stamp number. That's something that's applied after the fact. So that tells me that this came from Ironbridge. This is then the secured promissory note between Kouri Richins Realty and Ironbridge, and the loan amount, where it says principal amount, is $346,500 at a 10% interest rate. And it also tells me that this is a note that matures, means it's due on January 8th of 2022.
For context, ma'am, what at this time were traditional mortgage interest rates?
They were at those historic lows, 2.5%, 3.5% for a 30-year mortgage.
So she got a loan at, let's see, if there were 2%, 5 times. Again, look, I will never claim to be a genius at economics or running a business or all that entails, but I'm pretty sure that's not a good deal. And you should be smart at numbers if you're gonna, have a business, or have someone who is smart at numbers do your business stuff. What in the name of Frito-Lay's accounting?
And did this loan involve a balloon payment?
It did.
So am I right then that for the 6 months term of the loan, Kouri Richins did not owe any money?
This one, it was a balloon, but this one did require monthly payments.
But then everything was due on January 8th, 2022.
That's correct. So it was started in the summer, and she had the monthly payments on it, and then she had to either refinance or pay it off by January 8th of 2022.
Thank you, Scott. Did Kouri Richins endeavor to refinance?
Yes, she did.
And did she use Excel Financial Services to try to refinance that loan?
Yes, she did.
Scott, can I get Exhibit 5-60, please?
I think we're going to be learning that.
Ma'am, do you recognize this document?
I do.
What is it?
It's the America First bank account statement for Kouri Richins, her personal checking 5244 for July of 2021. And this is from Excel Financial and its principal, David Ige, in response to a prosecution subpoena.
The state, Your Honor, moves 5-60 into evidence.
Same objections.
5-60 is admitted.
Scott, can you blow it up? Real quick, Ms. Carrington, we're going to go through this a few times, but real quick.
This is America First bank account statement for Kouri Richins, her personal account 5244, July of 2021. And then the 3 accounts in the summary section shows that she had $694,730.15 at the month end.
Did you attempt to verify this bank statement?
I did.
5-35A, please, Scott. Ma'am, do you recognize this?
Yes.
What is it?
This is directly from America First Credit Union for Kouri Richins, her personal account 5244 in August of 2021 in response to a prosecution subpoena.
State moves to admit 5-35A.
Same objections.
5-35A is admitted.
Scott, if you could enlarge it, please.
It's enlarged.
Oh, doubly enlarged. Ma'am, what does this present?
That this is
In the Paul Lind voice, ooh, doubly enlarged. Okay, that just made my day. Sorry.
Kouri Richins' account using that PO Box 759, the account number 5244, which is that personal checking account, August of 2021. And the total of the 2 accounts is $1,893.94 at the end of the month.
Scott, can you bring up 5-32A, please? Ma'am, do you recognize this?
Yes.
What is it?
It is the American First Credit Union account for C&E Stonemasonry, the account 7664, January of 2021, that came directly from the credit union in response to a prosecution subpoena.
Your Honor, the statement was 5-32A into evidence.
Same objections.
5-32A is admitted.
Ma'am, what does this present?
So this is from the credit union, C&D Stonemasonry's account 7664 in January of 2021. And there are 3 accounts collectively at month end, $694,730.15.
Thank you, Scott. Can you please bring up Exhibit 2-7, please? Ma'am, do you recognize this document?
I do.
What is it?
This is a document in response to the subpoena from Excel Financial Services and its principal, David Ige, in response to a prosecution subpoena.
Your Honor, the statement was Exhibit 2-7 into evidence.
Same objections, Your Honor.
Would you?
I want her to say different objections, Your Honor. Oh. Sidebar, sidebar. It's off to bars we go. The judge's wishes he has boost. Sidebar, 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 sidebar. Oh, that's nerves left. Sidebar is at 48. And that's special.
Two 2-7.
Yes, Your Honor.
States 2-7 is admitted. One moment, please.
Thank you.
Ma'am, I'm sorry again, was this information that came from Excel Financial Services and its principal, David Ige?
Yes.
Scott, if you could enlarge the bio portion of, thank you.
Ooh, Kouri Richins' bio. Let's get into this. Hi, my name is Kouri Richins, and I've been doing real estate investing for 4 years, from fix and flip projects to buying and holds to investing in companies and wholesaling. I've done small projects as low as $2,500 for an auction home to up to selling multi-million-dollar fix and flip projects. I have a master's degree in human resources, which has become very valuable in running a company of 147 employees based out of Park City. None of this is true, is it? I mean, she had 147 employees. Okay. I'm currently working on my general contractor's license that will be completed within the next month as soon as I have Adobe, print shop. I have been certified through Ronaldus Real Estate Investment Education and also obtained a real estate license. In my last 5 deals alone, I have profited nearly $1 million. I'm very confident in my work, in my team, and something else, the Chiron. Yeah. And howdy, squid. Yeah. First of all, no, you were never in the black. I mean, okay. I mean, did anyone check that she actually had a real estate license and that she actually graduated high school? Because I feel a lot of Letitia Stalk vibes coming from this chick. So, yeah,
Ms.
she's
Carrington, did you analyze Kouri Richins' finances to determine if she employed anyone, and if so, how many employees she had?
Yes.
How many employees did she have?
I don't know how many employees, but the payroll expenses that appear in her bank account statements are in the neighborhood of like $1,500 or $2,500. They're not consistent. So I don't know how many, but it's a very low number.
When you say her payroll expenses are, what did you say, 1,500?
Some of them are 1,500 or in the neighborhood of $2,000 or $2,500. They're not consistent.
Okay. And is it called 1,500 to 2,500 weekly, biweekly, monthly?
No, they're occasional, they're periodic, and nothing that would rise to the level of paying. I don't think paying over 100 people.
Would it rise to the level of paying over 3 people?
Depends on how much they're making.
In your analysis, did you find any evidence that Kouri Richins profited $1 million on any 5 of her deals combined?
No.
Kouri, you're a millennial. I know you watched Romy and Michelle's high school reunion. You can't claim that you invented Post-its. Pick a smaller lie. Like, you could claim to be an influencer or even a mommy vlogger. But yeah, you can't say that you invented Post-its, all right? I thought we learned this. I thought we learned that.
Thank you, Scott. Can we get, please, Exhibit 4-5?
Same objections.
4-5 is admitted.
Your Honor, before we publish, well,
My apologies.
that page doesn't matter.
Okay.
I just want to make sure that, Scott, can you scroll down one page? 2 pages? 3 pages? 4 pages?
One page.
You want to stop there? Article 4 is,
Gonna find you. I'm gonna get you.
that's the relevancy.
Okay. I may be missing a nuance here. Ms. Nestor, anything, folks, I apologize. In an abundance of caution, please approach the bench for a moment.
Good night, nurse in a handbasket. Oh. It's a sidebar, but everyone's staying sober. It's a little bit of a disappointment, but it's Utah.
Publish
Publish, Your Honor.
now.
Actually, Scott, can you bring us back to the front?
Go ahead, Mr. Bloodworth.
Ms. Carrington, what is this document?
This is the operating agreement of Kouri Richins Realty, dated June 7th of 2021. And this was provided by Excel Financial and David Ige in response to a prosecution subpoena.
Scott, if you could scroll down, please, to Article 4. Thank you. Scott, if you could bring up 5-61, please.
How in the hell did her mom get nearly 90% of the business?
Ma'am, do you recognize this document?
Yes,
What is it?
it is the America First Credit Union statement for Kouri Richins, the account 5244 for September 2021 that was sent by Excel Financial and Mr. Ige in response to a subpoena from the prosecution.
Your Honor, the state moves to admit 5-61.
Same objections.
5-61 is admitted.
Ma'am, what information does that present?
It's an America First Credit Union statement. It says Kouri Richins in the header for September 2021 for the personal account 5244. And in the summary section, those 3 accounts collectively at the end of September were $169,442.28.
Did you attempt to verify this statement?
I did.
Scott, can you bring up 5-35B? Ma'am, do you recognize this document?
Yes.
What is it?
This is the America First Credit Union statement for Kouri Richins, her account 5244 for October 2021. This came directly from the credit union. And then if you look in the, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. This came from, in response to a subpoena from the prosecution.
State moves to admit 5-35B.
Same objections.
5-35B is admitted.
Scott, 5-32D. Ma'am, do you recognize this document?
Yes.
What is it?
This is the America First Credit Union statement from the credit union of C and E Stonemasonry, account 7664 in September of 2001, directly from the credit union in response to a prosecution subpoena.
State moves to admit 5-32D.
Same objections.
5-32D is admitted.
Scott, if you could zoom in. Ma'am, what does this present?
That for the account for C and E Stonemasonry, the account 7664 in September 2021, the 3 accounts collectively were $169,442.28.
Thank you. Scott, can you bring up 5-62? Scott, can you bring up can you take 562 down? Can you bring up 5-29B, split screened with 5-29C? Ma'am, do these documents follow the same pattern we've just discussed?
Yes, they do.
Your Honor, the state moves 562D, 529D, and 529C in evidence.
Wait, I'm sorry.
Was it 562 or 562D?
I don't know
It's
what.
just 562.
Would
I
you
don't
like to
know.
see that again, Ms. Nestor?
Yes. So same objections to 529C and 529D. I don't remember seeing 562. So if we could just put that up for a second.
Sure.
Same objections.
Okay. 5-62 and 5-29D and -29C are admitted.
Okay, Your Honor, we're not going to publish them. I
Understood.
think everybody understands.
Okay.
I'm going to bring up another set of 3. Scott, if you could start with 524.
Would you pause for 1 second? Do you need a moment? Do you need clarification? Correct. Correct. Okay. Would you say the number again?
5-24.
The witness has it. At least I think you do.
I do have
Okay.
it. Yeah.
I'm tracking wrong. Exhibit number, Your Honor. I'm sorry. Hold on.
That's right.
Tammy, why the state is able to bring in this information is because it is showing a motive. Now, basically, the jury has been told that they're not allowed to use this as, oh, well, we can prove that she was lying, that she told lies to the bank, though these documents pretty much do prove that she did that. What they are pulling these documents in to show and bringing this witness in is that Kouri was drowning in debt, that she was not going to be able to keep, robbing Peter to pay Paul, getting, loans to pay loans to pay loans without Eric being aware of it, especially with the purchase of the giant money pit mansion. So basically it's going to, she had a motive to unalive him, not only so he wouldn't be aware of her debt, but she was also planning on, or had assumed she was still the beneficiary of his estate, which would have cleared any and all of her debts, when he passed. So that's kind of what they're trying to show. Now, she does have another court case coming up that does deal with her multitude of financial crimes. Oh, no, you're fine, Tammy. Y'all in chat, never be afraid to ask a question. Honestly, it's guaranteed that, 2 other people in chat and 9 lurkers are wondering the same thing. So, I have no problem answering questions. It's kind of why I'm here. Yes.
That's not what's on that. Hold on. I had a screen problem.
Do we need to do something to help you?
No, I think we're good now.
Okay. The
Eric,
page that
you're
I'm
awesome
seeing,
with
the witness is
ranch.
seeing, has a sticker
They'll
on
be
it. Can we go
fine.
back to page 1 second? Make sure 5-24, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I apologize, Scott. I go back to
Now, this is on Court TV's end. Their stream did have
Documents
some
529E and 532E into evidence.
issues.
Same objections.
524, 529E, and 532E are admitted.
The Bates number I'm interested, that's that number at the top for the 524s. The Bates number ending in 149. Scott, can you bring up 5-29F and 5-32F? Ma'am, did those 2 documents, along with 524 at page 152, follow the same pattern that you just testified to?
They do.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the last thing. 529F, 532F, and what?
Exhibit 5-24 that we just admitted, but page 152.
Same objections.
Okay, 5-29F and 532F are admitted.
Ma'am, I want to ask you now about a $45,000 set of wire transfers related to the Barney home. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do.
What is your understanding of the purpose of those wire transfers?
Those were in January of 2022 from Chelsea Barney to Kouri Richins for the purpose of a down payment to buy the 299 Barney house.
So it was a down payment.
Objection to speculation about what it was for and hearsay. Move to strike.
Sustained. Lay some foundation, Mr. Bloodworth.
Your Honor, Scott, can you bring up Exhibit 2-19BR?
Would you mind blowing it up, Scott? I can't read the text.
Scott to the rescue.
There's several pages, Your Honor. And just so the court knows where I'm going, I'll just move to admit it.
Okay. Same objection to this exhibit, Your Honor, that we've already, same objections.
403 and 404B?
Yes, sir.
Okay, those objections are respectfully overruled. Forgive me, this was a long number. Would you go back to page 1? States Exhibit 2-19D-R is admitted. Did this witness see this document?
Yes, you did, Your Honor.
Okay, take it from there.
And just, I think the court is aware, but the labeling 2-19's exhibit number, D means it's a demonstrative, R means it's redacted. Ms. Carrington, have you seen this document before?
I have, yes.
Your Honor, can the court publish it to the jury?
Yes.
Scott, if you could just slowly, please walk the jury down the text string.
Okay, let me inbigonate. That's what she said. Oh, for the love of Schmeatos. Could we have gotten this in, like, Comic Sans? Scott, we need you. Tech Stash to the rescue. Embolden these. Okay, so this is from Friend. Haha, I totally pulled an Eric. Ha, I bet you're dying, Chels. Ha, what time do you get off? I have no idea how you're working. Did Derek have fun? He seemed like it. No idea what this is in. Oh, nope, wrong thing.
Ma'am, is this a text string between Chelsea Barney and Kouri Richins?
That's my understanding, yes.
Okay, and then it goes on to say, oh, hell no, the kids are probably so damn confused. It's sad. As soon as she meets someone else, she will do this all over again. And then it's covered by the chyron. I'll let you know I'm down payment when I get that, but it will be this week, but don't stress. It will be affordable for what you have. No worries.
The number?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, and then, hey, Chels. Okay, a couple of things. Do you have any paint left over at your house? My mom said she used some kind of paint to touch up a cabinet there, and she's pretty sure she left it with the other colors. It would have been a darker gray, question mark. We're going to be closing on your house Tuesday. What are you comfortable with putting as a down payment? And then it said, "Sorry." Uh, from her friend, "Haha, no worries. Will you set it on your front porch and she'll run by and grab it? $59,000. Don't freak. I knew you only had around 47,000, so I want to see what you're comfortable with and I'll float the rest. You guys will be seller financing it from me, so what will happen is I'll close with it on my name on Tuesday, and then we're going to set another closing for 2 weeks to close it and change it into your name." And howdy, howdy. Alex, we are going over how Kouri swindled her friend out of money. Now, all of these financial issues and these text messages are being allowed in to show that Kouri was in a very delicate state in her finances, both in her business and personal finances, which were really commingled to the point that she didn't have an independent business account per se. I don't know if she's willfully stupid or just thought she would get away or someone, Eric, whoever would take care of her. I don't know. And then the friend was saying that the paint "Okay, the paint is out on the porch. Let me count my cash and see what all I have. I have 40,000 for sure. Let me see what all I made over the last couple months." I'm doing my taxes, so this is the friend. I'm doing my taxes tonight, so depending on how fast that comes, I can use that. If I do need you to front me some, I'll pay you back with my taxes. And then this is to Corey. To the friend, "Okay, oh, no, no, I'm springing this on you last minute, and they're just finishing docs. I knew I would have to float some cash, not stressed, all is well, just ready to get this wrapped up so I can pay out my lenders and put this in a long-term loan, so don't worry about paying me back. It will just be wrapped in the loan. If you can do around 45K, that would be perfect. If not, don't stress. Yeah, fucking wild. I'll have to probably call you though. It's a lot to text. Cool, I'll tell my mom thank you." And then her friend was responding, "Okay, I will count how much I have. I'm sure I can do 45, no problem. Okay, call when I can." And, Corey said, "Sweet. Okay, I've got 45K from the friend." Uh, let's see. Oh, go ahead. And she said, "Woot woot, can you deposit it in your bank tomorrow and then just wire it to my account and then I'll wire it to the title company and then I'll send you the receipt and documents." Yes, I will do that tomorrow, so wire her the money. Oh, sorry. I was trying to I'm kind of nervous from the friend or no, f yeah. Okay, I'm so excited, but scared as hell. Oh boy, let me know how that goes. I feel so bad for him. He posted a picture of him and the kids today, just them, no Allie. Haha. Oh, I bet. It's so much money and your own house. Eek, how exciting. Totally, I will. I do too. I can't believe how much he's still respecting her and won't tell his parents or anything because he doesn't want anyone to think bad of her. Like what? I just want to shake her. I have no idea what this drama is about, but I want to know all the tea. Oh, Pradoodles. Sorry. I had someone who was trying to talk to about my car loan that I don't have. Yes, I just hope I can get back on track and develop a savings again, huh? Not that that was much, but I thought so. Oh, I want to effing slap her. She's being such a B word. I can't believe he's being so nice still. I believe so, just about. Uh, hey, not wanting Derek on title, just you, written as Chelsea. Correct. I'm waiting for CCU to transfer the rest of my money into my MACU account, and then I'll send it right over. I have to tell you how this lady was at the bank, or how this lady at the bank was about me depositing my cash. Okay, cool. That's what I thought. Okay, no worries. Oh God, did they think you dropped a bank or something? This lady was such a B word. I will have to call and tell you. One sec, I'm finishing volunteering at school. Give me 15. What's your bank? America First Credit Union. Okay, I don't know if my bank is weird or what, but it sent you 2 trial deposits. When you get them, let me know the amount they're both, that were sent so I can send the rest. And then I definitely weird, like, weird, I've never heard of that. I know, it's asking for all these questions, her friend said. Would Venmo work? Do not Venmo Kouri Richins $45,000. Are you high? Like, if Utah is selling that level of gummies, let me know because I would like to never feel pain again and still be alive. Holy giblets. No, I was trying to do it online. Will I have to go in? Yes, if you can, it's so much easier. Okay, I just asked when Derek is home because Burke's sleeping in, then I'll go. Ha, sorry, friend. Haha, no biggie. Holy ish, I did it. You will get to UCCU will be 18,300 and then MACU will be $26,700. Woohoo. Next time. Haha, you did your first wire transfer, Chels. Congratulations. Haha. I go about 10 or I do about 10 of those a week. That's how my business functions. Your business doesn't function. Your business is a sinkhole. Your business is a tax write-off. Okay, I'll let you know when the funds are received. It'll be the first thing in the morning. Jesus, that was so difficult for me, haha, but I know what to do if I ever have to do it again. Okay, thanks, friend. Not anymore, I'm guessing. Laughed at the whole, Jesus, that was difficult. Forgot to text you. Wires received this morning. Are you working Saturday? Yay. Yes, I am working
Scott, we can
Saturday.
stop there. Thank you. That text exchange mentioned the $45,000 down payment. Did you trace those two wires?
Yes, I did.
Scott, if you could bring up 5-29G at Bates 794. Your Honor, this has already been admitted.
D or G?
G.
Is that correct, Brittany? Okay, go ahead.
Ms. Carrington, what is this again?
This is the Kouri Richins Realty account statement, 6577 for January of 2022 from America First Credit Union.
And when you traced those two wires totaling $45,000, did they land in this account?
Yes, they did.
Can you please show us where?
Sure. Scott, can we do that?
Kelly, not this morning. I actually probably, I set myself up with snacks, but I probably will get a protein shake when they take a break because I am and uncrustable.
Well, let's see. It's the middle. We need to go down a little bit to like the 11th. The 12th, like the 11th and 12th. Yes, thank you. So you can see on the 12th, the $26,700 coming in. And then if you go down a few other lines, also on the 12th, down a little bit more right there. That bank-to-bank transfer, that's $18,300 coming into the account. So those are those two wires from Chelsea Barney.
And Scott, if you can move it to the left. At the time they hit the account, what was the account's balance?
It was in the negative $1,996.68.
Did you then trace the funds from this account?
I did.
Can you please show us what happened to that money?
Well, the majority of it, well, a lot of it, almost half, went to the family account, the $19,299 on the 12th, the middle transaction. That went to the family account, the 2204, that says Eric Richins. That's the joint checking account that Eric and Kouri Richins used for family expenses.
Your Honor, can we just have a continuing objection to this whole line on the same grounds?
Please proceed, Mr. Bloder.
And then also there were she got payments.
Okay, so the $19,300 went out. And then how long did it take her to deplete the rest of that $45,000?
Well, we have to account for another $9,000 that came into the account, but it was gone within a few days.
Did any of it go to a mortgage on the Barney home?
No.
What did it go to?
The transaction that's highlighted, the $19,299, that is the same amount that was paid to FundFi, which is one of Kouri Richins' payday lenders.
So that money went from
But she's
this
looking
KR account to the personal joint account, and
That's
then
correct.
to FundFi to pay off debt.
Part of that's true. So this amount on January 12th went to the family account. And if we go to the family account, you can see right before this payment had been made. So this money going back to the family account replenishes that exact amount.
Let's do that. Let's go to 5-33A.
Denise, that was actually so Eric's co-owner of the stonemasonry business, that was his wife. So I don't believe that was the friend that she swindled out of the house, but I could be wrong. But I thought that was the wife of her husband, or Eric's stonemasonry business, his wife.
Do you recognize that document?
I do.
What is that?
This is the America First Credit Union statement of the family accounts 2204 of February of 2022, which includes the January 22 transactions. And this is in response to a prosecution subpoena.
Your Honor, the state moves to admit 5-33A.
Same objections.
533A is admitted.
Can you show us on this account that 19,299 transaction you were just referencing?
Yes. Scott, I think it's on the second page. Yes. Thank you. So you can see on January 10th, a bank-to-bank transfer of $19,299. So that came out of the family account. And I know from tracing this, that went to FundFi. for Kouri Richins.
And Fund 5 was one of her payday lenders?
Yes.
Scott, can I get Exhibit 5-30, please? Do you recognize this document?
I do.
What is it?
This is the information from America First Credit Union that details the incoming wire or the outgoing wire. And it was returned in response to a prosecution subpoena.
Your Honor, the state moves to admit 5-30.
Same objections.
5-30 is admitted.
And what information does this present?
This tells
you
us the
sure
date at the top left, January 10th, 22. It tells us the amount that is $19,299 there on the left. And in the middle column, it tells us that it came from the account 2204-9, the 2204. That's the family account. On the right column, it tells us the beneficiary, who's the receiver of the wire, is Fundify Merchant Funding. And then if you go down to the bottom, so the originator is the person who sends the wire, the beneficiary is the one who receives it. So this is instructions or notations from Kouri Richins or someone who sent this to pay off K. Richins. That's the instruction.
Let's go back to the loans for a minute. You testified earlier that the Iron Bridge loan became due on January the 8th, 2022. Is that right?
That's right.
Did Ms. Richins make that balloon payment to satisfy that loan on January the 8th?
No, she did not.
What happened?
She extended that loan for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. She extended the loan, giving her more time to pay it.
And during that time, was she trying to get a new loan from Excel Financial?
That's true. Yes.
Why did she submit so many bank statements to Excel Financial?
Object to speculation.
Did you review her correspondence with Excel Financial?
I did.
Did that correspondence explain why she submitted so many bank statements to Excel Financial?
Yes.
Why did she submit so many bank statements to Excel Financial?
Well, initially, the loan was in her name, just Kouri Richins and K. Richins Realty, and she had some bank account statements were submitted for that. And then as the underwriting process went forward, they asked for a co-signer. And so that's when the operating agreement that now showed Doreen Kouri with some ownership of K. Richins Realty, when that was submitted, and also bank account statements were submitted for that. And then another stage where they needed to show a specific amount in a bank account statement in order to close. And the loan then became Doreen Kouri's loan as the principal of K. Richins Realty.
Did K. Richins Realty ever enter into a financing agreement with Excel?
No.
What then happened with the Iron Bridge loan once it was extended once?
It remained unpaid, and it was extended again to March 8th, 2022.
Thank you, ma'am. Your Honor, this may be a good point to break.
Any objection, Ms. Nestor?
No, sir.
1240 reasonable, Mr. Blibber?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Nestor?
Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, normal instructions. Please don't talk about the case. You'll have access to your devices, and so please.
All right. I am going to fast forward us through lunch, but then I'm going to need to take a bio break and get an Uncrustable out of the freezer so it can thaw, so I can remember to do lunch today. So we will get started, but I will be right back.
Please have a seat as you come in. All right, folks, have a seat, please. Ladies and gentlemen, we will continue with testimony from Ms. Carrington. Ms. Carrington, you are still under oath. Mr. Bloodworth.
Thank you, Your Honor. Scott, can we please have 8-12? Your Honor, this is an evidence already if the court could publish.
Understood. One moment. There you are.
Ms. Carrington, do you recognize this home?
I do.
Is this one of
And Alice G, welcome. You haven't missed much. Now, we have actually been taking a deeper look at some of Kouri Richins, and I don't even know if we can call it a business at this point, but her financial shenanigans that she called a business. We're looking at a single transaction in which she not only swindled a friend, but doctored bank records to secure a loan using Eric Richins' business funds rather than her own. So she was very aware that she was not going to get financing with her own credit. Now, basically, they're just putting it in. They're not putting it in for character reference, like she's a liar here, so she'll definitely, she's definitely red rum material, but it is more of she stood to lose a lot if Eric divorced her in her current finances. Basically, it's for motive.
the projects of Kouri Richins' real estate business?
Yes, it is.
Did she use Boomerang Finance to finance this project?
Yes, she did.
Thanks, Scott. Can I get 5-58, please? Ma'am, do you recognize this document?
I do.
And what is it?
This is an America First bank account statement for Kouri Richins Realty. K Richins Realty, account 6577 from June of 2021. This is sent directly from Boomerang in response to a prosecution subpoena.
Your Honor, the state moves to admit 5-58.
Same objection.
5-58 is admitted.
Scott, if you could zoom in. Ma'am, what again does this information or does this statement present?
This is like the others. This is K Richins Realty, the account 6577 for June 2021. And you can tell at the top this came from Boomerang. And then the summary section says, calculates the three accounts. The total is $702,831.96 at the end of June.
Did you attempt to verify this bank statement?
Yes, I did.
Scott, can I get 5-29B, please? Ma'am, what is this document?
This is directly from America First Credit Union for K Richins Realty LLC 6577 for June of 2021 in response to a prosecution subpoena.
The state moves to enter 5-29B.
Same objections.
5-29B as in boy is admitted. Published now. Go ahead.
Again, Ms. Carrington, can you show what information this bank statement presents?
K Richins Realty at the PO Box 759, the account number 6577 for June of 2021. This came directly from the credit union, and the two accounts at the end of the month have the balances of $15,339.12.
Scott, 5-32 Charlie, please. Ma'am, do you recognize this document?
I do.
What is it?
This is the America First bank account statement for C&E Stone Masonry for June of 2021. The account number 7664 that came directly from the credit union in response to a subpoena from the prosecution.
Your Honor, the state moves to admit 5-32C.
Same objections.
5-32C is admitted.
One more time, ma'am.
Okay. This is the America First bank account statement for C&E Stone Masonry, the account 7664 from June of 2021. This one came directly from the credit union, and you can see in the summary section the three accounts totaling $702,831.96.
Thank you. I want to switch gears a little bit now. You've used the term funding sources a couple of times. We're going to talk about funding sources, okay?
Okay.
Scott, can I get 5-93 Delta 2? Ma'am, did you recognize this document?
I do.
Did you prepare this document?
Yes.
What material did you use to prepare this document?
This is based on the lender documents, the loan documents from the lenders for each of the properties, the home equity line of credit, the bank account statements, settlement statements for the purchase and the sale, and the deeds, the trust deeds that were recorded with the different county recorder offices.
The state moves to admit 5-93D2.
No objection.
5-93D2 is admitted.
Thank you, Jen.
Okay, Mr. Harrington, it might be easiest to step down. I'll let you decide that, but can you explain to the jury the information presented on this document?
It might be easier if I step down.
It's up to you.
Could you turn the map on? Thank you.
I'm going to try and do this without the pointer. So what I've done here along the bottom are just some phases of funding. And as far as the phases of funding, it's not a very hard and fast scientific analysis, but as I look at all the transactions, they kind of fall into kind of different phases. And so what I've said is, she started a business in 2019. She had the one project early on, and then she had some other projects. And in the beginning, she used a primary lender, Sierra West and Matt Strong, and that's a name that I think you're going to hear over and over. So he's her primary lender for almost all of her, not all of them, but almost all of her projects, a significant number. And then in the very beginning, as we've already talked about, she used that HELOC, draws from the HELOC to fund the projects, the rehab expenses, until it was no longer available because it was maxed out. And in the very beginning, she had a little bit of cash. There's like a $10,000 or $15,000 that I can see coming from her own sources to pay for projects. And she had a seller financing project. And I should stop and say too, I'm sorry, I'm getting long-winded, but she had prior projects that she'd done in South Carolina, and those seemed to be fairly successful. They were smaller projects, and they were before Utah, before she registered her business. So I've kind of left those off. But I do feel like to complete the picture, we need to talk about that. And then Cockerhands and Blackwell, those are two.
Hey, wait till she gets to Abba. Her, Fernando kills.
Of her lenders so Matt Strong would be her primary lender. So she'd acquire the house with his funds. And then these would be what I'm terming, it's my term, rehab lenders. These are funds that she borrowed to give her money to fix up the house. So I have put these, what I'm trying to depict here, that as time went on, the proportions changed a little bit. And then as time went on, the funding sources changed. So no longer was she using her own cash. That was only in the very beginning. And the HELOC was, as you've seen, remember the chart where it was maxed out pretty quickly.
Your Honor, check the narrative.
Okay. Mr. Woodworth, ask a question.
I'll ask a question, Your Honor. What changes from the first column to the second column?
Okay, from the first column, there's a HELOC and the seller financing and cash. Those don't appear in the second column because those are no longer available.
What changes from the second column to the third?
The third column, you can see that the proportions change here. This is where we've talked about Iron Bridge and Boomerang, and Doreen Kouri, as you've heard, comes in. My understanding is that is Kouri Richins' aunt. The accounts receivable loans, those are those payday loans. We've talked a little bit about those. And then Cockerhands and Blackwell are still part of her lenders here.
How does Doreen Kouri contribute as a funding source?
As far as actual funds coming in, I have not been able to locate any funds that came in from her, but her name during this time period is used. She's on that operating agreement that's dated in June of 2021 that gets submitted in the fall of 2021. Her credit is used for the Excel financing and the David E. Gay potential refinances. So she's part of that process. And she's also used for a lot of these payday loan applications. Doreen had a cleaning company, and I understand. And her name, individual.
Well, I was thinking if she doesn't do a share, like gypsies, tramps, and thieves. I mean, it's not really socially acceptable, but I mean, she could pull it off.
She's a guarantor on a lot of these payday loans.
So is it right then to summarize that she's a funding source because her name and credit is used, but she's not a funding source in terms of a source of cash?
I don't believe she's a funding source as a source of cash. I haven't been able to track any of that coming in from her. There might be some, but I've tried my best to identify every transaction. There's some that I still don't know, but definitely her credit and her name are used.
So what then changes from the third column to the fourth column?
What I attempt to show here is the growth during the fall and winter of 2021, the growth of the accounts receivable loans in Doreen Kouri. This is a time of intense activity in the fall. We've talked about October, November, December, into the new year, and that's what that's supposed to show. Blackwell's dropped off until later. Those are the significant changes there.
And then what is the change from the fourth column to the final column?
So in early 2021, she had sold, Kouri Richins had sold the last significant project that she was going to sell for a while. And so there's not a whole lot of new funding activity except for what I call the Legacy Way house. Some others are referring to it as the Midway Mansion. That's that big house that she buys and signs on the day after Eric Richins died. And what's different from this column to this column, you see this is all blue. Matt Strong is her primary lender on that house. But then also she uses Cocker Hands and Blackwells and the Burns, and then these other Leeds, Soto, and Sills, all to come together. She uses all of those lenders just to acquire the property. So as opposed to somewhere over here, for example, where she uses Matt Strong to acquire the property, and then she uses these lenders.
I will say, Kouri, of all of the defendants I've seen throughout all the trials in the last 4 years that I've watched, she is the only one that really does embody that look of helpless vulnerability, damsel in distress. Now, is it real? No, it doesn't seem. It seems very conniving, but she is able to pull it off without it looking contrived. So I will say that she's the first person to effectively pull off, kind of the wounded victim who doesn't know how she got into court. Now, whether anyone buys it or not is a totally different thing. And they've oddly dressed her up like a sister wife. So this is just totally weird. This trial has been insane. But she has been one of the first ones that actually pulls off that look with any sort of, realness, in my opinion. I don't know that it's going to do much. The evidence isn't looking good, y'all.
There's for rehab funds. Over here, she uses all of those lenders just to acquire it, leaving nothing left over for rehab expenses.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. We can trade mics now.
Thank you. That's all. You can turn that back on if you like.
Okay, ma'am, let's talk about the accounts receivable loans portion of that chart. What are accounts receivable loans?
Accounts receivables are future revenues that have been earned but haven't come in yet. They're coming in later. And pardon me, this is, you can call these factor loans or future receivables loans, but also payday loans. Like in exchange for $60,000 today, I'll pay you $87,000 down the road. That's what someone might say.
What receivables did Kouri Richins or K. Richins Realty have?
They had properties that were in the middle of rehabilitation, remodeling, whatever, and then would have been sold. So those, when they're sold, those are the revenues. So those are future receivables.
Scott, can I get 5-97D, please? Cam, do you recognize this document?
Yes,
Did you prepare it?
I did.
What material did you use to prepare it?
I used the bank account statements that we've talked about, the lending documents where I could find them as identified from the bank account statements. And then I did searches of the state's database, not the prosecution, but the state of Utah database for the UCC filings to identify some other information.
Your Honor, the state moves to admit 5-97D.
No objection.
5-97D is admitted.
Okay, ma'am. Scott, if you could just zoom in a little bit. Oh, you did. Yeah. There we go. Ms. Carrington, what information does this present?
So these represent separate and distinct loans.
Kouri could have worked for Congress. She's big into kicking the can down the road.
That Kouri Richins took out. The date is the date that the UCC filing was not. I need to explain UCC filings. Is that okay?
Please do.
Okay. If someone buys a piece of property, like a piece of land or a house or something, there's a deed that gets recorded at the county recorder office and then if they borrow against it, the loan gets recorded there, documented there in a trust deed. On the other hand, say someone buys a piano or a piece of equipment for their farm or something, that is not something that the lender can advertise to the world that they have an ownership interest in it until the loan's paid off. So they can't record it at the county recorder's office. So they file something with the state of Utah or whatever state they're in that says, I own this property until his borrower pays back the loan. And it's called a UCC filing. It's Uniform Commercial Code. And that's with the Department of Commerce at the state. So what I did is all public record. So I pulled up whatever UCC filings I could find under Kouri Richins, K. Richins Realty, Doreen Kouri, any of those. And I was able to piece together a lot of information. And this is the result.
So does this present that she borrowed $645,000 of payday loans that she received. Well, that's the amount she owed, right? And then she received $474,000 of that.
Yeah, and I can see how I can make this a little bit better, but so then the column that starts with net funds, that's the amount that hit her bank account. And you can see that I've got some gray shaded areas. I can tell from her bank account that she's paying this loan. But there's sometimes I can't tell which funds came in. Like it says just bank to bank transfer. And I don't know which one applies to, for example, on June 5th of 2021, the funded.com. I can see how she starts to pay $149 monthly to funded.com. But I haven't been able to figure out, and they didn't file a UCC filing. So I don't know how much she borrowed. So I'm not going to make an assumption and put a value in there and calculate a number that I can't support. So the net funds column, she got at least $474,000 into her bank account.
And she owed them at least $645,000.
That's right. So the receivables purchased. So in my example they gave you a minute ago, she took out a loan. Okay, let's look down here. 9/30 of 2021, the Greengrass Holdings. So she committed $87,000 of her future receivables to get $60,000 today. And by the time origination fees were taken out, she got $54,000 that landed in her bank account. And in exchange for that, they filed a UCC filing later, actually. But the payment that Kouri Richins committed to was that payment that we've seen, that $5,438. And she committed to pay that every week until the loan was paid back. And so she got $54,000, but she had to pay back $87,000.
Let's follow that thread then. Scott, can I get 5-10, please?
Don't do this, children.
Do you
This
recognize that
isn't
document?
math.
Yes, I
Even
do.
girl math.
Is that the green grass funding revenue purchase agreement that you just referenced and showed the line item?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, the statement was 5-10 into evidence.
That's just, is that the only page? It's just the agreement? Just 2 pages?
Yikes. I'm getting secondhand financial anxiety. I feel like Caleb
don't have an objection
Hammer
to
is
that, Your
going to
Honor.
have a heart
States
attack.
5-10 is admitted.
Scott, if we could zoom in on kind of the merchant information down to, yep, right there. Okay, Ms. Carrington, what does this tell us?
So this is the agreement between Kouri Richins Realty and other companies with Greengrass as of September 30th, 2021.
Did you investigate those other companies listed under the merchant's legal name?
Yes, I did.
What did you determine?
Some of these are related to Kouri Richins, like where she holds her contractor license or something else. And then the LTD's personal cleaning, I believe, is related to Doreen Kouri.
Other than the one related to Doreen Kouri. And is that, by the way, what you meant by Doreen Kouri as a funding source in part?
Your Honor, based on that, this line of questioning, I would object to this line of questioning, continuing objection on our prior objections.
Overruled. Please proceed.
Except for the LTD personal cleaning, did any of the other companies connected with Kouri Richins have revenues?
I don't believe so, no. It's possible the WCA Enterprises, she's got a couple of projects where the buyer is Kouri Richins Realty LLC doing business as WCA, but as a standalone enterprise, I had requested the state subpoena documents, bank accounts, or anything that would support the fact that they had revenues, and I'm not aware of any bank accounts that they have.
Scott, can you scroll down to the loan amounts? Right there. So is this what, if you can highlight that line at 60,000 to the right? I think you already did, but just to be super clear, can you please explain that line?
Okay, so this is someone might say, if I could have $60,000 today, I'll pay you $87,000 down the road. And that's what happened here. It was purchased at 15%. The payment frequency is weekly, and there's that $5,438 payment requirement.
And did we see some of those payments being withdrawn from her bank account in that October statement that we reviewed early on?
That's true, yes.
Did Kouri Richins continue to pay on that loan throughout the end of 2021 and into early 2022?
She did not.
Why not? What happened?
So this document, you can see at the very top of the document, this is from Kings County Courts in New York, at the very top right there. And the date there is December 9th, 2021. Greengrass filed a lawsuit against Kouri Richins Realty, all of these companies, Kouri Richins personally and Doreen Kouri personally, for non-payment of the debt. I can identify a small set of payments, and after that, payments were not made from the bank account, and that is also what the complaint says.
Objection to this whole line of questioning based on our former objections, Your Honor.
Overruled.
Scott, can I get 4-17, please? Do you recognize this document, ma'am?
Yes, I do.
And what is it?
This is the summons that's related to that lawsuit that I just explained. And I believe somewhere there's the seal on the document. Oh, it's the summons and the complaint.
State moves 4-17 into evidence.
Same objection plus hearsay.
I'm not
Plus
sure this is,
Uno reverse.
would you approach regarding hearsay objection?
No, don't approach. Don't give her any more power. This judge is going to wish he drinks by the end of this trial. We should do something fun when we reach 100. I'm not sure what it'll be. We'll think about it.
We're going to move on from that one, okay?
Okay.
Can we please turn to tax analysis?
Yes.
Did you analyze Kouri Richins and Eric Richins' tax returns?
Yes, I did.
What types of returns did you analyze?
The married filing joint returns for 1920-21, the business returns for C&E, and a separate tax return for that Kouri Richins self-prepared for 2019.
How do each of the business returns relate to their joint personal return?
So Eric's business, he had a business partner, and their earnings that he and his business partner drew from the company were reported on a K-1. It's a document then that gets filed with their personal return. I'm sorry, I'm trying to be succinct. And Kouri Richins, having it be a one-person entity, all of her income, whether or not it was reported on K-1, would just flow through to the personal return, usually on a Schedule C.
So one way or another, each of their business income or business loss would flow to their joint personal return.
That's right.
Did you analyze KRR's, Kouri Richins Realty's return?
Yes.
Were her tax returns helpful in understanding her financial narrative?
If I answered that yes or no, it would require some explanation.
Let's start by yes or no.
Okay. Yes, it did help explain the lack of continuity and lack of reliable accounting. And no, because of that, the things that she reported to her tax preparer.
Objections, same objections we raised previously.
Would you approach for a minute?
Wow, long. $51. Well, the next one will be 51.
All right, folks, have a seat. Mr. Bloodworth, to help me rule on defendant's objection, would you please proffer for me where we're headed regarding the tax returns?
Yes, Your Honor. I think in response to that question and maybe the next one, Ms. Carrington will testify that K. Richins Realty's tax return were unhelpful for Ms. Carrington's analysis because Kouri Richins' expense reporting to her accountant was inaccurate.
Okay. And then where will we go after that regarding the tax returns?
The implication of the inaccurate expense reporting was that her tax returns showed a profit. Then there will be questioning on if the expenses were reported accurately, would they have shown a loss? There's a tax advantage to showing a loss. Why would you want to show, from a tax perspective, why wouldn't you want to take the loss? And then Ms. Carrington will testify that during these time frames, Ms. Richins was trying to attract funding, loans, and a tax return that showed a profit would help her attract loans.
Okay. Ms. Nestor, take it from there.
Well, now I have a new objection.
I imagine you have a couple.
I do.
Go ahead.
So, first of all, absolute speculation as to why. I mean, the loops you have to jump through to get that she's over-reporting her income to use it to get funding when there's zero evidence in this case that I've seen that she's ever produced her.
Pause there for a minute. Let's assume for the purposes of our discussion for the next few minutes that instead of opining about what was in Ms. Richins' head, Ms. Carrington, based upon her education training experience, talks about what real estate investors would need to show to attract funding and whether someone with a balance sheet that looked like Ms. Richins would need funding. So more general rather than specific.
Except that in this particular case, I know we have 10 terabytes of information that was produced, but I don't recall ever seeing any evidence that she produced her tax returns to any lenders ever. And if she has seen that, please correct me, but I've not seen it. So if there's no evidence in the case to support this speculation, then it is speculation, it is prejudicial, it's harmful, and it shouldn't come in. But I also think if she's, to whatever extent, for whatever reason, if she's filing false tax returns, that's a crime. And that's another crime, wrong, or bad act under 404B. And again, has zero relevance to whether or not Ms. Richins killed her husband. And so I object on all those grounds.
Okay, one step at a time. Addressing these issues in the order that they were raised by defendant, Mr. Bloodworth asked the questions in a way that does not require or invite Ms. Carrington to speculate about what was going on in Ms. Richins' head, but speaks more broadly or generally based upon her education, training, experience about why real estate investors in Ms. Richins' circumstances might benefit from making their tax returns look a certain way versus another. Any clarification on that?
No, yeah.
Okay, that resolves the speculation objection. Next, moving to the 404B issue, the court determines that evidence regarding the appearances that Ms. Richins was preserving regarding the success of her real estate investing business, circumstantial or direct, and evidence regarding the potential consequences that would flow if those appearances were shown to be without basis or not accurate, circumstantial or direct, are probative of a non-character purpose of showing motive. That is, that she, put bluntly, needed money to maintain appearances and to prevent the financial calamity that would show that these appearances were not accurate and the personal consequences that would flow from that. In so ruling, the court is summarizing the reasoning that it has already put forth in much more detail with citation to Utah law in its ruling on defendant's motions in limine and in its ruling on the state's motion for additional findings and conclusions regarding the intrinsic evidence issue.
Okay, this is all right. This is proof. This man's eyelids are not level. So I don't know if he has a lazy eyelid on one side or it's just he's tired of the finances too. Don't ask me why I focus on these things, but yes, there's a definite asymmetry in his eyelids in case it was bothering you too.
And the court incorporates by reference that reasoning of those authorities. However, to make sure that the jury does not inadvertently and improperly revert to a propensity-based drawing of inferences, Ms. Nestor, do you want me to make another instruction that makes specific reference to the taxes?
Yes.
Okay, so may we agree that the court will give an additional instruction to the effect of, you are about to hear evidence that defendant's representations related to the tax returns of her business were not accurate, and then the standard form language after that.
Yes, sir.
Any objection, Mr. Bloodworth?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Nestor, anything further on that issue?
No, sir.
All right, and then can we just take a look together at Rule 103B? Which states that once the court rules definitively on the record, either before or after trial, a party need not renew an objection or offer of proof to preserve a claim of error for appeal. I respect genuinely that Ms. Richins disagrees strongly with many of the court's pretrial rulings. That disagreement has been preserved for the record. It will be reviewed on appeal. To the extent defense counsel is worried about having to reassert any of those objections, they need not do so under Rule 103B.
Totally respect what you're saying, Your Honor. My only concern is that as we litigated this, we did not go document by document and say, these documents are the ones we have problems with. These are the documents we're okay with. My understanding of our discussion earlier this morning, and I might be wrong, and please correct me, but my understanding was that I was supposed to let the court know when we get to the documents that I think fall under what we've talked about. There are documents in here, as I said this morning, that we don't have any problem with. Most of our demonstrative exhibits, you'll note, I'm not making objections to those. They're coming in sans objection.
but some you double down on regarding the Barney house. And so it's hard to tell whether you're just reasserting the objection every time or if you're choosing. And that's why on occasion I have to ask whether this is a new or different objection.
So I can try to do better about alerting the court if there's a new ground, but I'm still concerned because we don't have a ruling anywhere that I've said exhibit 632 we believe falls under the court's ruling and therefore falls under our objection. We've never done that. So the fear that I have, well, I totally agree. That's what Rule 103 says. I understand I can have a continuing objection, but the problem with that is we've never in any of our litigation said this set of documents.
Well, your motion in limine certainly did. It listed about 20 documents and I denied it. So you know that those 20 are not a problem, but nonetheless, we are where we are.
Oh, the judge is done. The judge is like, look, you are making me listen to financial stuff. You're reminding me of objections. It is too close to Monday for you to be testing the Jesus in me.
Right.
So feel free to proceed as you are, but to the extent you want another specific ruling because you feel like we haven't discussed it before, you have to say more. Otherwise, I won't know what you're talking about.
Absolutely understood. So my intention for the record is to try to comply with the court's ruling, not to have a speaking objection. When I say previous objections, I'm saying this document we believe falls under what you've already ruled on. If I have something that's new that I don't think you've ruled on at all, I will let the court know that.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody need a break before we invite the jury back in? Mr. Bloodworth?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Nestor?
No.
Okay. Tasia, we're ready for the jury.
Fort Wreck-It. Oh, she's gonna need some aloe. That stings just a scotch. Kathy Nestor making Skippy the lawyer look like a good one. And I get that she's doing this for the record, but she has put on the record that she has a continuing objection to these documents. She doesn't need to state it every time. Or maybe she does. You know, maybe there's a Utah rule. It's a tacit agreement, John Gary.
Please have a seat as you come in. Okay, please have a seat. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, an additional instruction. You are about to hear evidence that defendant's representations related to her business's tax returns were not accurate during the period of time before the acts charged in this case. This evidence is not admitted to prove a character trait of the defendant or to show that she acted in a manner consistent with that trait. You may consider this evidence, if at all, for the limited purpose of determining whether defendant had any particular motive. Please keep in mind that the defendant is on trial for the crimes charged in this case and for those crimes only. You may not convict the defendant simply because you believe she may have committed some other acts at some other time. Please proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Carrington, let me pick up with that last question. Maybe we'll just answer it again to get back on track. Were Kouri Richins' realty tax returns helpful in your understanding Kouri Richins' financial narrative?
And I answered yes and no, or yes or no. Yes, they were helpful to understand the fact that everything didn't match. The money that came out of the bank account that was spent was not reported the same on the tax returns. Well, let me say, was not reported the same to the tax preparer and therefore not accounted for correctly on the tax returns. And then no, because the same thing. If the accounting is not reliable, that doesn't help me understand fully and accurately what was going on in her business.
Does this relate back to how you had to calculate expenses as it relates to Kouri Richins rehabbing homes?
Yes, that's along the same lines, yes.
And it's those expenses, or is it those expenses that were underreported to her tax accountant?
Well, there's that, but there's also the fact that the whole body of those loans we've just looked at was not included. And in looking at the tax preparer's documents that he relied on to put the tax returns together, it's clearly missing. None of those loans is listed as a liability against the revenues. And the documents also show that the only loans that he understood that Kouri Richins Realty had and was obligated to repay were the loans based on that were related to the properties. So there's this huge category of, $5 million, $500,000 of obligation, or $400,000 of obligation that was completely absent from any of the financial.
I'm not a financialologist, but don't hide things from the government. They tend to get pissed off when we lie to them, not so much when they lie to us. So I wouldn't recommend it. For those of you who needed that today, it's your daily dose of wisdom with Auntie Mo.
Records that the tax preparer put together and therefore was also missing from the tax return.
What was the effect of this inaccurate reporting on Kouri Richins Realty's tax return?
So someone who, or a business that understates the expenses inflates the net income. So it makes it look like there's more profit than there actually was.
Wouldn't there be a tax advantage to having a business loss?
Yes, or having a lower net income. Yes.
Setting Kouri Richins aside for a moment, based on your training and experience as a forensic accountant, why would a business person want to inaccurately, from a tax perspective, want to inaccurately report their expenses and end up paying more tax?
Most, I don't know. If taxes, if expenses, revenues and expenses are reported correctly, there is a tax liability, assuming they made a profit. If those are understated and it makes it look like they made more profit, they would owe more tax. If the opposite were true, they would pay less tax. And so it depends on what that person's or business's objectives were.
What would a business objective be to want to pay more taxes?
Back to speculation.
Overruled.
To avoid showing a loss so that the business appeared more successful.
Why would a business similar to Kouri Richins, a business with a financial position similar to Kouri Richins' financial position, want to appear more successful?
Well, if things had been reported accurately, she was operating at a loss. And so that would have been reflected, especially for 2021, that would have been reflected in an accurate tax return, would have shown a loss there. And during the time, especially the tax return that was prepared in the fall of 2021, that wasn't accurate. That's a time when she was actively seeking funding for, she acquired 3 new properties in November, and
Back to speculation.
Overruled.
Actually speaking, she acquired 3 new properties in November of 2021, adding $1.1 million to her debt. She didn't pay anything toward those acquisitions, so she borrowed everything to acquire those properties. And in December is when she put the offer in on that big house. And so these are months that coincide with the inaccurate tax returns in which new projects were being acquired or contemplated, and funding was being sought for those.
Did you investigate whether Kouri and Eric Richins had any tax liabilities?
Yes.
Did they?
Yes.
Do you know about how much?
I know at least number.
What is the at least number?
Let me back up. State tax liabilities, tax liens were about $70,000, and federal was about $80,000 at least. So $150,000 at least.
And were those a joint liability since they filed jointly?
That's correct.
Scott, can I get Exhibit 5-36?
Yeah, I don't know.
Are we frozen?
It's possible.
No. So lenders would see her tax return, and if she was able to bump up her profit and losses or bump up her profits versus losses, her business looks, substantially more successful. And then lenders would be more, encouraged to lend to her because it looks like they'll get their money back. But that only works as long as they don't check her credit report, which shows she's got no money.
Fix that. My apologies.
Or maybe it's a scroll down problem.
Tech Stash to the rescue.
Okay.
We have a tech problem and
Ma'am, do you recognize that document?
I do.
What is it?
This is the bank account statement from America First Credit Union for Kouri Richins, the personal checking account 5244 in May of 2021. This is directly from the credit union in response to a prosecution subpoena.
Your Honor, the state moves to admit 5-36.
Same objections.
5-36 is admitted.
Scott, if you could scroll down to the check. Yeah. Ms. Carrington, what is this?
This is a check from the C&D Stonemasonry account, and it's payable to Eric Richins, dated April 29th, 2021, for $36,000. And the memo on it indicates taxes TC-546, and that tells me that's a Utah State Tax Commission payment.
And did,
Oh, her nail color matches her
based on your
iPad.
analysis, did C&E provide Eric and his business partner, Cody, for that matter, distributions in order to pay their taxes?
Just a hearsay.
I don't understand the hearsay objection there.
That's how she knows. They told her.
Why is lay some foundation for how she knows?
Did, in reviewing the C&E accounting materials, show that C&E distributed to both Cody and Eric Richins estimated tax payments?
Yes, no one has told me that, but I can see from reviewing all the bank accounts that there are pairs of transactions, and they are for Eric Richins and his business partner habitually over several years, and they are for different tax liabilities.
One moment. The hearsay objection is overruled. Please proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ma'am, did you trace this check?
I did.
If we can go back to the main document, Scott. Can you show your tracing of this check?
Sure. Scott, if you can scroll down. Okay, right there. So mid-screen, you see April 30th, the deposited check item for $36,000 to go over there. And so that's that check. And they're included in this exhibit is the deposit slip. So I can match that up. Plus the check copy came with this. So I know this is the same $36,000. And then,
Sorry.
sorry,
At the time that was deposited, what was the account balance?
83 cents.
Okay. Can you pick up the tracing from there, please?
Yes. So in doing a tracing, I look at the balance at the time a specific transaction is made. And so then I have to match up, but for certain funds, other transactions would not clear the bank. So the following transaction is April 30th, that bank to bank transfer of $25,000 could not have been made but for the deposit of that $36,000. So I know those have to tie together. So then I'm looking for what other information will tell me that deduction of $25,000.
And where did that $25,000 land?
It's a wire out that goes to Stewart Title's Bank of Nevada, I believe.
Scott, can you go back to the main document and scroll down, please? No, I'm sorry, down a page.
No, keep going to the wire. This one, please. Sorry.
Ms. Carrington, what information does this provide?
So this, you can see in the upper left-hand corner, it's a domestic outbound. So this is a wire that is going out of the account. If you go down the left-hand column, it shows you $25,000. If you go to the middle column, it's from Kouri Richins. Right above her name is the account number 5244. And over on the right, it says it goes to Stewart Title Company. And then go down to the bottom left, and it says earnest money, Kouri Richins. Earnest money being kind of a deposit on a purchase of a property.
Thank you, Scott. Can we turn now, please, to a property that you referenced as Legacy Way that others have referenced as the Midway Mansion?
Yes,
Are you familiar with the property?
I am.
How so?
I've been by it several times over the last 3 years, and I have researched the recorder's documents, the deeds affiliated with that. I have submitted a grandma request, which is a request for government records, so that I could understand all the Wasatch County building permit, the inspection records over the years, the life of that property. I have interviewed the prior owner before Kouri Richins bought it. I've interviewed the current owners. I've traced all the, after Kouri Richins bought it, tried to sell it, I have reviewed each of those 13 offers to purchase the property. And I've also looked at the bank accounts and the loan documents for her purchase.
Let's please start with the drive-by. Scott, can I get 6-7? Do you recognize this?
I do.
Is that the Midway Mansion?
It is.
State moves to admit 6-7.
No objection.
6-7 is admitted.
Scott, can you zoom in a bit?
Look, I get it's not done, but that house is ugly aesthetically, and I hate using that word because millennials have killed it, or whoever has used it as the new literal. It's ugly. This looks confused. It looks like someone just kept adding things because they wanted to have a big house. I mean, you can have a large house and have it look nice. This just looks like it looks awful. She paid money for this and not on a discount? Like, this is a crime against architecture.
Scott, can I get 6-8, please?
I'm not a houseologist, but that's ugly as hell.
Ms. Carrington, do you recognize this document?
I do.
What is it?
This is the real estate purchase contract, commonly known as a REPC, that Kouri Richins Realty submitted as her offer to buy the property in December of 2021.
The state moves to admit 6-8.
No objection.
6-8 is admitted.
Scott, if you could
Point.
zoom in, please, on that first kind of top section. Ms. Carrington, what information does this provide?
Like I said, I'd buy it on a discount. I mean, it doesn't have a sewer system, so that's going to be like, I'll give you $10 for it. Look, I'll pay more for the land. Well, okay, wait, quick question, and I know this is probably a grand assumption on stereotypes, and I'm pretty sure that Nick bought liquor in Utah, but if I'm buying this property, there is a booze outlet near me. Like, I'm okay with dirty looks when I go to buy booze. No problem with that. I just want to make sure that they are available.
So this tells us in the far upper corner, this is Sierra, and that's the bait stamp that identifies that this came from Sierra West Capital, Matt Strong being the primary lender.
Jen, I have come to the realization that there are women out there, now they exist, and I am glad they do, that find happiness in doing like laundry and cleaning, and I am simply not one of them. So Mr. Mo is terrified of having to deal with another woman and her hormones and craziness, but as long as I can get out of laundry, I'm kind of okay with it.
It gives, and then if you go first line kind of over on the left, 2/23/2021 is the date. Kouri Richins Realty is the buyer. Douglas Roy Lance is the seller. And then a couple lines down on the right, it says the earnest money deposit of $50,000. And then as you go down, it gives the street address is 106 North Legacy. That's why I call it Legacy Way. It's in Midway. That's why people call it the Midway Mansion. And then the parcel number, et cetera.
Then it says C addendum. We'll get to that one in a minute. But Scott, if you can scroll down. What information does the purchase price paragraph provide?
So it tells us what the agreed purchase, well, the offered purchase price is $2.9 million for this property. And then the accounting on the left shows that there's a $50,000 deposit, and then the balance will be paid at settlement, and then the purchase price there. And then I know that this is accepted because it's got initials on both and the dates on both, the buyer and seller.
Scott, can you just scroll down all the way through the next page?
Scrolling, broad-eyed.
Keep scrolling.
Keep
scrolling.
Pages scrolling.
Let's stop there. Thank you.
Scrolling.
Let's zoom in on the contract deadlines through the signature. Yep. Thank you. Ms. Carrington, what information does this provide?
So this gives a chronology of different steps that need to be taken. It's very typical in every transaction, most transactions. Sellers have a duty to disclose any of the warts and problems with the house. Those are due by January 7th of 22. Due diligence means that's the opportunity for the seller, or excuse me, that's an opportunity for the potential buyer to do any homework, anything that they need to do as far as due diligence before they sign. That's due February 4th. Financing and appraisal, that's also for the buyer to arrange financing, funding, do any appraisals that they want to do, and they have until January 7th to do that. And the settlement deadline, that means this deal has to close by March 4th of 2022.
Does that March 4th date hold any significance in this case?
Yes, it does.
What's that?
That's the day that this property deal closed and Kouri Richins purchased this house.
Did you purchase it on March 4th or March 5th?
I'm sorry, March 5th. March 4th is the date that Eric Richins died.
Thank you. Let's discuss the warts and problems, please. Scott, if we can go down to just keep it up, zoomed out right there. Is that the addendum that was referred to earlier?
Yes, it is. Addendum 1.
Okay, I'm going to
Oh, good.
walk up and present.
Okay, let me just inbigonate this. Addendums for 106 North Legacy Midway. This transaction includes 2 parcels. Parcel 1, a strip of land running adjacent to Midway Lane, is designated open space and is approximately 1.2 acres. Parcel 2 is approximately 8.75 acres. Acreage is acquired by county records. Responsibility is upon buyer to verify acreage and to be satisfied with acreage. Seller makes no representations with regards to boundaries, mets and bounds, acreage, parcel placement, or integrity of parcels next to neighboring lands. Seller accepts parcels as is with regards to boundaries, property records, description deficiencies, markings. With or without surveys, buyer is responsible for procuring any surveys, new surveys, owned surveys, in order to confirm markings, boundaries, mets and bounds, desires, or actually survey lines or improvements in description. Let's see. Buyer is to, so this is number 2. Buyer is to acknowledge and affirm and agree that these parcels 1 and 2, are sold as is. Buyer acknowledges, affirms, and agrees that both building structures have extensive vandalism, theft, as well as flooring and other structural concerns that may need or will require replacement or repair. Due to delays in construction and permitting approval process, the structures have been idle, exposed to the elements, and are not habitable, and are also suitable in many ways for continued construction. Damage has occurred because of the idle status of the projects. Buyer affirms that the buyer's intent moving forward with the building project or the abandoning project together is based upon buyer's own investigation of said structures in their state of idleness, disrepair, unfinished, and uninhabitable quality. Additionally, animals may have taken up residence in the ventilation systems, for which there may be additional damage. Buyer acknowledges and affirms that buyer accepts the property is unfinished, disassembled, unrepaired, damaged state, and agrees to confirm through buyer's own due diligence which repairs and remediation efforts are necessary. To what? So not only has it been idle and the flooring is bad, but animals are living in the vents. I mean, how did Kouri manage to get this steal for $2 million?
With a printed copy of 6-8. And this is the addendum, am I right, that discloses all the warts and problems?
Yes.
I've circled a few of the paragraphs on that disclosure, that addendum. Can you please read those paragraphs aloud to the jury?
Okay.
What?
Bear with me. This is paragraph 2. Buyer is to acknowledge and affirm and agrees that these parcels, parcel 1, parcel 2, are sold as is. Buyer acknowledges, affirms, and agrees that both building structures have extensive vandalism, theft, as well as flooring and other structural concerns that may need or will require replacement or repair. Due to delays in construction and the permitting/approval process, the structures have been idle, exposed to the elements, and are not habitable, and are also suitable in many ways for continued construction. Damage has occurred because of the idle status of the projects. Buyer affirms buyer's intent in moving forward with the building project or abandon the project altogether based on buyer's own investigation of said structures in their state of idleness, disrepair, unfinished, and uninhabitable quality. Additionally, animals may have taken up residence in the ventilation systems for which there may be additional damage. Buyer acknowledges and affirms that buyer accepts the property in its unfinished, disassembled, unrepaired, damaged state, and agrees to confirm through buyer's own due diligence which repairs and remediation efforts are necessary. Buyer acknowledges and affirms buyer's own actual or potential costs of repair, remediation, demolition, remodel, restart, reconstruction, and or completion in moving forward with the building projects. Buyer agrees to purchase and accept the parcels, buildings, structures, and all aspects of the purchase of said parcels on an as-is basis, and waives and releases any and all claims against seller or any deficiency, unexpected outcome, or unknown condition, cost, delay, failure, or liability. Paragraph 3. Buyer acknowledges, understands, and affirms that sale of said property is sold without all or necessary or desired permits, certificates, or allowances to build or complete the building process from Wasatch County or other governmental agencies. And buyer is and buyer is to be solely responsible for obtaining any required building permits from Wasatch County or any other necessary government entity. Buyer acknowledges, understands, and affirms that seller's building process was halted by the governmental permitting or allowance process, and as such, buyer intends to purchase these parcels as is, with full understanding that buyer may also face challenges and costs in obtaining necessary or desired permitting and allowances to build, rebuild, or complete the building and occupancy process. Buyer acknowledges, understands, and affirms that the structures do not have certificates of occupancy, necessary approvals through all required inspections, and other indicators of structural habitability. Paragraph 4. Buyer acknowledges that seller has been working with the Army Corps of Engineers over a lengthy period of time, and that this entity is currently requiring additional wetlands evaluation of various materials, including water, environmental, etc. The Army Corps of Engineers may require other test requirements and certifications, etc., that are to be completed to their satisfaction. Buyer acknowledges, understands, and affirms that the Army Corps is an independent government entity separate of Wasatch County, and that the Army Corps may require its own permitting, which Wasatch County may also require in order to obtain building permits. Buyer acknowledges, understands, and affirms that the Army Corps of Engineers does not monitor or collaborate with Wasatch County in
Okay, whoever got Kouri to buy this money pit, my hat off to you. I mean, I don't know how much you were probably sweating your collective balls off, but you got some idiot to buy your thing. I mean, now it's money that Kouri Richins promised, so I don't know that you actually ever saw any of it, but can you imagine the buyer that sold this to Kouri? I mean, they were probably like, "You really wanna buy this? Like, are you sure?" They were running away from the table. Corey's all excited, and the people that are selling this are like, "Are you for serious?" And
anyway. Wasatch County may or may not issue building permits independent of the Army Corps of Engineers. Buyer acknowledges, understands, and affirms that buyer, not seller, is responsible for moving forward with the Army Corps of Engineers and all other governmental organizations that may have oversight or control of the parcels and building projects and occupancy certification processes. Buyer acknowledges, understands, and affirms that the process of moving forward could take considerable time, present costs, delays, hardships, and burdens to buyer. Buyer acknowledges, understands, and affirms that buyer does not require any contribution from or assistance of seller with regard to obtaining all necessary permits, certificates, allowances, or approvals to restart the building process or complete said process and obtain all necessary inspections, approvals, certificates, permits, or allowances. Paragraph 5. Buyer acknowledges, understands, and affirms that the parcels have sewer rights, but that the sewer is not yet hooked up, is below grade, and will have.
okay, Kouri, help me figure this out. Was land there so incredibly I mean, is it an area that is experiencing growth of the upwardly mobile who want to have, kind of their own McMansion with some land? Is that an area that is going to facilitate or, grow like that? Because I mean, having lived in a rural area, to put in a septic tank for that particular size house or to get the sewer lines is going to be pretty expensive. When I am the voice of reason, something has gone terribly wrong. Who the hell again, whoever sold this to Kouri must have just been laughing as they left.
To be pumped. Buyer acknowledges, understands, and affirms all necessary steps to obtain sewer function is the responsibility of the buyer and may be required to be on site on the subject parcels. Paragraph 6. Buyer acknowledges, understands, and affirms that additional or dedicated open space, i.e. wetlands, or other required remediation or mitigation may or will be required by the Army Corps of Engineers, and that to achieve mitigation or remediation, additional properties may be required for such. Thus, a potential offsite property may be obtained by the buyer. And if not on an additional offsite property, then remediation or
legitimately, all that is missing is the Stephen King, subsection where he admits that it was built on a pet cemetery on top of, Pennywise's nesting ground on top of the hotel where The Shining was built.
mitigation may or will be on site to the subject parcels. There is a mitigation process that will need to be coordinated with the Army Corps of Engineers. Buyer acknowledges, understands, and affirms that there may or will be costs related to preparing lands to offset any disturbed wetlands. An outside consultant with BioWest has collected data and submitted data and recommendations to the Army Corps of Engineers. The Army Corps of Engineers still need to make its final decisions and will determine a mitigation plan with permits in cooperation with buyer. Paragraph 12. Buyer acknowledges, understands, and affirms that the Army Corps of Engineers may or will require further evaluation and study of wetlands underneath mounds of fill soil on the parcels. So seller will provide access to buyer's consultants or any other third parties related to studying groundwater or soils for the Army Corps of Engineers.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Ms. Carrington, in your experience reviewing REPCs, have you ever reviewed a REPC like that?
No.
Nope.
Scott, can you please bring up 6-9? I will retrieve the exhibit. Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Carrington, do you recognize exhibit 6-9?
I do.
What is it?
This is the settlement statement for the Legacy Way Midway Mansion property, where Kouri Richins Realty is the buyer and Douglas Roylance is the seller. And this is the final version of the sale.
The state moves to admit 6-9.
No objection.
6-9 is admitted.
Ms. Carrington, what information does this present? And if it's easier to step down, please do it. I don't know what's easiest.
It might be since I don't have a... Okay, this is not actually as complicated as it appears. So this is the property address here, the buyer, the seller, and the lender is Sierra West Capital. So that's the Sierra West Matt Strong stuff. So over here shows the settlement date and the disbursement date as March 4th of 22. And then this is the internal file number at the title company. This shows the sale price. This is the buyer's version. There is a seller's version, but this is the buyer's version. This is the sale price of the property at $2.9 million. And then here shows 2 of the 4 loans on this property. So here's the original loan from Sierra West to this $2,624,850. There's another lender from the Burns, and that loan is $420,000. These are some prorations. This section here, are you all right if I keep going?
Please, what's that section there?
This section, these are the fees associated with these loans. So the first position lender is Sierra West Capital, this $2.6 million loan. They charged $124,850 at the outset just for the loan. And then on top of that, it accrues interest going forward. It's a 6-month balloon. So this being March 4th of 22, she has to pay that off by September 4th of 2022. The next two, the $150 and the $20,000 relate to this loan, the $420,000 by the Burns. And then Scott, could you please scroll down? Thank you. That's great. So then here, these are the title insurance costs that are paid to GT Title Services, who's the title company in this transaction. So these are the different costs associated with that. So the first one, the lender's coverage premium, that's for the first position, the Sierra West one. Second position is the Burns, the $420,000 one. The third position loan is going to be this. For some reason, this is down here. I don't know why, but this third position lender funds is $150,000. That's an aggregation of a bunch of people who got together and they pooled their resources to loan $150,000 on this deal. And here is the buyer's portion of the real estate commissions, the 2% at $58,000. The other side paid $1,000 per their agreement, and then some recording fees. On top of this, there's one more loan from David Cocker Hands that came in before this. He gave her the money for the earnest money. So did Matt Strong. So they both gave her the $50,000 for the earnest money. But later, the fourth position lender of $67,000 recorded his deed. I don't understand why it's not incorporated here, but it's not. But it is still attached and recorded on the property. So this tells us that all in all, there needs to be $3,201,230 that the buyer needs to come up with. And as I said, there's also that other $67,000. So she borrowed $3,259,000 against this property to buy it for $2.9 million. And then there was a little overage. And so this $87,240 came back to her. And we can see that go back to her bank account. And that hits her bank account.
This doesn't math.
So does this show that she borrowed $3.2 million from other people to close on a $2.9 million house, and that closing she walked away with $87,000,
yes.
I guess don't
on the
play
day that the Midway Mansion
player
closed.
Game.
How much was it worth?
$2.9 million, because that's what she paid for it. That was the agreed price on that for that transaction.
Is it worth? Is the real estate market like other markets in that the value of something, whether it's gold, oil, real estate, the true value on any given day is what a willing buyer and willing seller agree to?
Yes. And so in addition to the fact that that's what the market dictates, the IRS rules also say that a transaction is valued between a willing seller and a willing buyer. And industries function like that all the time. Business valuation, a forensic accountant who conducts a business valuation of a business will use that same concept.
Did you use that same concept in valuing all the properties involved in this case?
I did, because that's what she paid for them.
Scott, can we get 5-114, please?
Sure.
Bless you. Ma'am, do you recognize this agreement?
I do.
What is it?
It is a loan agreement reflecting that large loan between Sierra West Capital and Kouri Richins Realty. And this was a response from the title company, Griffith and Turner Title, in response to a prosecution subpoena.
Your Honor, the state moves 5-114 into evidence.
No objection.
5-114 is admitted.
And just, Scott, yeah, perfect. So this is, am I right? Is this the loan agreement between Kouri Richins Realty and Sierra West for the Midway Mansion?
It is.
And Sierra West was the biggest lender at $2.6 million.
That's right. Yes.
Scott, could you just scroll down on page 1? Scott, could you go to page 12, please? And is this part of what is, are we looking at what is known generally as a closing packet?
Yes, that would be consistent. Yes.
These are the closing documents on the Midway Mansion, at least this, the closing documents for the largest funder on the Midway Mansion.
That's right. Yes.
And is this a signature page?
Yes, it is.
And is that signature notarized on the 5th of March?
Yes, that's correct.
Scott, can you go to page 21, please? Is this another different signature page?
Yes, this one is basically acknowledging that the company that's buying this authorizes Kouri D. Richins to act on its behalf.
Scott, can you go to 27, please? Is this yet another signature page in the closing documents?
Yes.
Can you go to 32, Scott? I'm sorry, yeah, let's go to 32. 32. Is that yet another signature page in the closing documents?
Yes.
And 33, Scott? Ms. Carrington, is that yet another notarized signature page in the closing documents?
It is.
Thanks, Scott. Ms. Carrington, based on your analysis, did Ms. Richins have the ability to service the $3.2 million in debt when it came due in 6 months from closing?
She did not.
Scott, can I get 2-14, please? Ma'am, do you recognize this document?
I do.
What is it?
It's an email string between Matt Strong and Kouri Richins that was returned pursuant to a prosecution subpoena from Sierra West Capital and Matt Strong.
And does this email string in part discuss how much money Kouri Richins estimated would be required to finish the Midway Mansion? We can scroll through it.
Yes. This is the one where she's asking him to loan her the earnest money, the $50,000 for the project.
In part, yes.
Right.
The state moves to admit 2-14.
No objection.
2-14 is admitted.
Scott, can you publish the part you had highlighted on our screens?
Scott, let me know you're ready. Okay.
Let me give.
Okay, so yes, Paul Benson knows his stuff. He's selling a Park City property right now for $42 million. Okay, $42 million. He's got 5 offers in the first week. Insane. So, yes, so this property is buying at $2.9 million, then $3 million in renovation, ARV $16 million. Absolutely insane numbers. Someone's going to make a killing on this. That's where I need your help. Thoughts, ideas. Realistically, obviously, I don't have $3 million for renovations. Coming up with the $2.9 million is going to be a challenge enough. So what should I do with this? Do you think I should wholesale it at a county assessed price? Do you think I should close on it, get it dried in, windows and doors, maybe exterior, then sell it to someone to finish it? Do you want to partner in on it? Do you want someone or something with it? Honestly, I'm open to any and all ideas with this one. It's definitely out of my league, but the margins are so insane that I had to pick it up and then figure it out. Ha ha ha. help. Let's do something with it. Not sure what. Maybe your Heber guy wants to buy it as is from me and have him remodel it with MCC double close or assign it over to him. Maybe he just wants to invest in it. Honestly, I don't know with this one. Haha, something is there, just finding the right direction to go with it. With the 5K, if you make it work, awesome. If you can't, that's fine too. You do what you're comfortable doing. The numbers are tight on this one, so I thought it might be a challenge, but for real, if you can't make it work, that's totally fine. Just let me know. I attached a contract here if you want to read it through. Someone read the contract and thought, this is great. I'm gonna give her money. Would they like to donate to my for-profit charity?
This comes to $3 million to renovate the Midway Mansion.
Objection, Your Honor. That's not consistent with what he just admitted.
It's a different question. Can you please restate it? Make sure we're listening to the question that he asked. If you'd say it again.
Ms. Carrington, based upon your financial analysis, did Ms. Richins have or have access to $3 million for renovations of the Midway Mansion?
It's not the
Hold on. What was your objection?
Same objection, Your Honor. He's misstating what's in front of him as far as the
His
evidence.
question does not relate to this. Any other
Yeah, it's not in the document.
objections?
Heifer.
Overruled. Go ahead.
Not that I'm aware of.
Thanks, Scott. Ms. Carrington, did you invest?
Oh, Kouri, sweetheart. Listen, look, you were pulling off the damsel in distress. Like, I bet you're wondering how I got, here at the defense table. It's a crazy story. You are now pulling and starting to look very smug and very entitled. Now, I don't know if you've taken a temperature around the room and around the country, but no one really likes you. So maybe keep the scared damsel in distress and keep the severe case of cunt off your face.
Investigate or try to trace any money flowing to the Midway Mansion project once Kouri Richins closed on it?
I did look, yes.
Did you find any money flowing to that project?
I did not find any money flowing to that project. There's one that is a maybe.
Okay.
But no, nothing significant.
What's the maybe?
It's in the neighborhood of about $3,000, I think. It's in that, the reason it's a maybe, is that your question? The reason it's a maybe is it's during that time frame and it's to an entity that, and I'm sorry, I really can't remember which entity, but there's one that I thought might relate to this project, looking for, what she usually does when she acquires a project, she moves forward. And so I'm thinking she probably does the same thing here. There's one that I recall fits that category, but it's minimal.
So at most, she, as best you can tell, invested maybe $3,000 into the Midway Mansion.
That's correct.
Oh my God.
Did you investigate whether Kouri Richins tried to sell the Midway Mansion?
Yes.
Did she?
Yes, she
Ooh,
did.
She's
When?
getting angry.
She listed the property on March 12th of 2022, so the week following her acquisition of it.
That's also a week and a day following Eric Richins' death, right?
That's true.
Did Kouri Richins ever sell the property?
She did not.
What ultimately happened to the property?
After 12 offers that were made and canceled for one reason or another, actually, let me restate that, please. After, I believe there are 7 or 8 that were offered before her note was due. And then after that, she continued to try to sell it unsuccessfully. And at some point, the lender, Matt Strong, foreclosed or recorded a he recorded a document, notice of default and election to sell. So basically started the foreclosure process.
And did the 12 failed contracts all fail during the diligence period?
Yes, they did.
In the months leading up to Eric Richins' death, what categories of assets did Kouri Richins have?
Categories of assets that Kouri Richins had. She owned several properties. So that's one class of assets. She had financial accounts, and those are various balances.
On March the 5th, 2022, immediately after closing on the Midway Mansion, what was the value of Kouri Richins' assets?
Including the new property, it was about 6.3 or 6.4 million.
In the months leading up to Eric Richins' death, what categories of liabilities did Kouri Richins have?
So liabilities are things that she owes. So she had a loan on the properties, each of the properties that she owned, and each of those was more than the property was worth. She also had all those payday loans that we've talked about, and she also had different lines of credit that were by and large all maxed out. Not just the HELOC, but also she had some personal lines of credit associated with her checking accounts. Those were all maxed out, and she also had credit cards that had high balances.
On March the 5th, 2022, immediately after closing on the Midway Mansion, what was the amount of Kouri Richins' liabilities?
Right about $8 million.
So netting that out, on March the 5th, 2022, after closing on the Midway Mansions, what was Kouri Richins' net worth?
She was in the hole. She was negative 1.6 million.
Yeah.
Kouri,
As a forensic accountant, have you formed an opinion as to Kouri Richins' financial
Oh, God,
position
not the
on
lizard.
March the 5th, 2022, after closing on the Midway Mansion?
Yes.
What is your opinion?
As of the date that Eric Richins died, Kouri Richins was in financial distress, and her financial enterprise was collapsing, had been collapsing, but for a significant infusion of cash and capital would have continued to collapse. It was imploding. Her debts and liabilities far outweighed her assets, and even if she had sold everything she had, it would not have been enough to get back to zero.
Let's turn briefly to Eric Richins' estate. Did you analyze the value of Eric Richins' estate?
Yes.
What material did you study in this analysis?
The insurance policies, the life insurance policies, including there's a life insurance two life insurance policies that Eric and his business partner had on each other. So there's the company, the documents that relate to that, the bank accounts, the documents related to the house,
Well, we are at 1.5, so we are sped up because this is from day 6. So we are trying to get, or from day 7, sorry, and we're trying to get into day 8 or day current. So we are sped up. In all fairness to Kouri, we are sped up.
family lived, and his bank account statements.
Are the bank accounts de minimis in relation to Eric's interest in C&E, his life insurance, and his home?
Pretty much, yes.
Let's set those aside then.
Right.
How is Eric Richins' interest in C&E, or how was Eric Richins' interest in C&E determined upon his death?
It's based on the value of those life insurance policies, so it's basically $2 million.
It's exactly $2 million, wasn't it?
It's exactly $2 million, yes.
Scott, can I get 7-28 Delta? Ma'am, do you recognize this document?
I do.
Did you prepare it?
I did.
What material did you use to prepare it?
The insurance policies of each of these insurance policies, the applications for a couple of them, the claim information, and also the payout of these policies.
Your Honor, the state moves to admit 7-28D.
Objection.
7-28D is admitted.
Ma'am, what again is this?
This is just a simple list of the different life insurance policies. I have not included the buy-sell agreement policies, the $2 million that benefited Eric's business partner, but these are the others.
Scott, if you could please highlight the claim paid, the policy amount column. Does this show that Eric Richins had $2.2 essentially $1 million in insurance upon his life?
Yes.
Scott, can you go to the claim amount paid? What information, ma'am, does this column present?
So for each of these policies, there was a specific amount paid. Like the top one is related to the house, and so it paid 70% of the existing mortgage, not the second, but the first. The things that I've highlighted in green are the 3 policies that were paid directly to Kouri Richins. The others were paid, the $500,000 was paid to the Eric Richins Trust.
We'll come back. So, summing up the amounts of insurance paid to Kouri Richins, is that $1.36 million?
That's correct.
Thank you, Scott. We spoke earlier about Eric Richins' premarital home.
Yes.
What was the approximate value of that home?
I think it was about $1 million, give or take.
And it was encumbered by the $250,000 HELOC that Kouri Richins signed for.
That's correct.
And was there an outstanding mortgage that was 70% satisfied by life insurance?
That's right.
We talked about the $1.3 million in life insurance proceeds that Kouri Richins received upon Eric Richins' death. Did you trace how she used those proceeds?
I did.
Scott, can you bring up 7-31B? Ma'am, do you recognize this document?
I do.
Did you prepare it?
I did.
What material did you use to prepare it?
I looked at Kouri Richins' America First Credit Union accounts and also Kouri Richins' UCCU account where she deposited the $1 million. And I guess that's it.
Your Honor, the state moves to admit 7-31D.
No objection.
States 7-31D is admitted.
I'm going to be real irritated if this money went all to her stupid business and didn't go to take care of her children. I'm going to be really, really freaking ticked off if all of this life insurance money from Eric. Look, I've been trying to be very objective to Kouri, but I'm going to tell you guys, I am going to lose my objectivity if all of this insurance money went directly to Kouri's stupid business.
What, ma'am, does this present?
So on another schedule, I've listed every single transaction that I traced back to the 3 deposits of insurance proceeds. And so the first line of this shows on June 16th, 2022, she got a little over $1 million from the auto owner's life insurance policy. And what I sought to show is before the money came in or as the money came in, how much was in her accounts. So she had $543,000. I'm sorry, let me back up. She got the $1 million in. And then the next one down on June 25th, the $251,000 that comes in. When that comes in, what was the balance in her account before the second policy was paid? And she had $543,000 in that account. So basically she spent about half of the $1 million between the 16th and the 24th.
That's ridiculous.
And then
Have a
on
great
September
lunch.
2nd, if you go to the third one that's paid, is that $100,000 policy got paid. And that's when she received those proceeds. And what was in her account the day before was $9,691. So that meant that she had spent the $1.2 million basically before she got that last $100,000. And then that final line on September 19th, she had $802 in her account. So that's just a look at the balances. And then I have looked at every transaction in these accounts to show, to try to understand how those proceeds were used.
We'll turn there next, but let me just make sure we understand this.
Okay.
So does this show that between June and September, 3 months between June and September, she received $1.36 million in life insurance proceeds and spent $1.36 million in life insurance?
That's what the bank account shows. And this is drawn from the bank accounts.
Thank you. Scott, can you bring up 7-29D, please?
Your Honor, we're froze up again.
My apologies. Let's reset.
Ooh, Judge is Tech Wizard.
I need you to unplug and plug back in, Scott. Oh, there you are. I apologize. All right, one moment. 7-29D is visible to the witness.
Ms. Carrington, did you prepare this document?
I did.
What material did you use to prepare it?
The bank accounts that I just spoke of, the America First Credit Union accounts and also the UCCU account.
Your Honor, the state moves 7-29D into evidence.
I'm sorry, can we just blow up the very tippy top of it? Just so I can see the label on it?
Just the tip. That's what she said.
Thank you. No objection.
And, 7-29D is admitted.
And then, Scott, can you split screen the 2 pages? Now, Ms. Carrington, am I right that it doesn't really read left to right? It reads top to bottom.
It's a vertical, yes.
So this page on the right is really right down here.
That's correct.
Okay. What information does this demonstrative present?
So I wanted to portray the funds that came in from Eric's death, and I've highlighted, or I put in bold the different life insurance policies, proceeds that came in, and then the way those were spent. I have taken everything over $1,000 to try and be brief, obviously this isn't brief, but so there are a lot of transactions for, whatever, $700 or $43. Those are not on here. So anything over 1,000 is on.
And Scott, if you could go down to the very bottom, of page 2. What information does this present?
So this shows even without putting those de minimis transactions in there, there's 1.3, almost 1.4 use of the proceeds, or that came in, and she spent the 1.2. So she spent it all. And then my footnotes here, I attempted to do the same thing that was in that other section, my footnote 2. These are the different accounts that she had, and these are the account balances when the new insurance comes in.
Now let's just highlight, Scott, maybe the far left column on the first page. Perfect. So that shows where, when she gets a $1 million life insurance payment into the account, you then detail where it goes.
That's right.
And those are all the transactions below it.
That's right.
Okay, so we get the deposit in for $1 million thereabouts. We've got 2 withdrawals to Aqua Dots LLC, $10,000 just withdrawn. Figure Lending LLC, Greengrass Holdings, Top Shelf Cabinets, Rocky Mountain Dirt, Hotel Reservation, Precision Engineering, Barclay Card, Discover, Greengrass Holdings, One Main Financial, Lisa Darden, $10,000, Greengrass Holdings, Rocky Mountain Dirt, Home Depot, Lowe's, Freight Servicings, IRS, Utah State Tax Commission for a good bit, Abyssal. So it looks like some of these are personal expenses, then landscaping.
And so you can see the money comes in, and there are some expenses for projects. There are expenses to pay debt, Figure Lending, Greengrass Holding, the One Main Financial. But I can see things that do relate to what I'm thinking are projects like Rocky Mountain Dirt, Home Depot, Lowe's, et cetera, et cetera. And then you see on 6/4/22, those 5 transactions.
Yeah, the 25. Robert Grossman. Interesting. Why is her side gross getting $25K?
To the Utah State Tax Commission, and especially on the right, Scott, can you see that bottom one? 6/4/2022 Utah State Tax Commission, and go over, and it's $50,000, $342. Thank you. That one. That matches one of the tax liens, the state tax liens that I was talking about earlier. So that's one of them. And those other amounts could be for the other $20,000, or it could be for something else. But one way or another, those are tax payments.
Do you see that entry on 6/24/22 to Robert Grossman for $25,000?
Yes.
Are you familiar with who Robert Grossman is?
Yes, he's Robert Josh Grossman. Josh Grossman, I understand, was Kouri Richins' boyfriend during this time.
Thank you, ma'am. When you analyzed how the $1.3 million in insurance proceeds were dispersed, approximately how much of that $1.3 million were used to pay debt?
About 600,000, somewhere in there. So about half, a little less than half was used to pay debt.
Thank you, ma'am. I think that's all I have for now. I suspect we're going to take a break, and the defense will have some questions for you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ms. Ness, any objection to taking a break?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Please rise for the jury. Let's take a break.
Take a break, and we get to gladly. Oh, well, maybe they wanted to do something else. Let's.
Thank you. That one for amount payments.
First, that's all I have for now. I suspect we're.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Please rise for the jury. Let's take a break.
All right. So it is officially a break. And then what I'm probably going to do is start a new stream when we get to day 8, just so I can keep it kind of, straight in my head where we are, if that makes any sense.
89. Okay, that was good enough. I think it's the same. Thank you.
Please have a seat. Thank you. All right, folks, have a seat. Thank you. Ms. Carrington, you're still under oath.
Yes.
Ms. Nestor, please proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. May it please the court. Good afternoon, Ms. Carrington.
Good afternoon, Ms. Nestor.
You and I have known each other for some time. Is that accurate?
That is accurate.
Okay. So I'd like to talk to you about how you got involved in this case. Is it fair to say that you were brought into this case by the gentleman who was working as a private investigator for the trust for the estate?
Absolutely, yes.
And his name is Todd Gabler, correct?
That is correct.
And Mr. Gabler is also someone you've known for a really long time.
I have, professionally, yeah.
Right. Well, of course. I should have said that. I'm sorry. And you guys even share office space, or did at one point?
No, never.
I thought you did. Sorry. And so initially when you were brought into
This
this
is
case,
something
Eric
that
Richins'
she-
family
so-
was really your boss in the matter.
This particular defense attorney has been really bad. She tries to add in these asides, these gotchas, and at a 70 to 30% ratio, she is wrong and she gets corrected by the witnesses. And that's not a good look. And, it may be a function of just being a little bit wrong, but it doesn't leave a good impression when you're constantly being fact checked by the witnesses on the stand that you're there to discredit. It kind of isn't a good look when you constantly look like you don't have your facts straight and you're questioning other people's facts. It's not quite a good look. And it's on small things that, it's not a big deal. And if she just lets them out, you wouldn't notice them, but she draws attention to the fact that she doesn't have a command of all the information with these little quips that she gets wrong.
I wouldn't look at it that way. I was hired by their attorney, Crystal Bowman Carter, after Kouri initiated the lawsuit. That's when I came in.
But the work you were doing was designed to assist Eric Richins' family in the litigation. Fair?
Fair, yes.
All right. And during the time that you were working for the family or the estate or the trust, did you also do some witness interviews with Mr. Gabler?
No.
You didn't go to any interviews of witnesses with him?
No, I did not go to any with him. No, I don't think so. No, I didn't.
And then at some point you stopped. Sounds like your work kind of trickled off for the estate or the trust when they got a new lawyer, right?
Right. I've known that firm for a long time, and I'm usually on the other side. So they use other people for their forensic accounting. And so I was not surprised when the estate got, when the trust, the estate got new lawyers, that they didn't adopt me as well, which is fine.
That's okay.
Yeah.
And then how is it that you became associated with the prosecution team?
I don't know how that happened.
They reached out to you?
They did.
And are you aware whether Todd Gabler recommended you?
I have no idea.
And Mr. Bloodworth asked you on direct. He mentioned that they've retained you at your normal rate. Is that right?
That's correct.
So it looks like you've done quite a bit of work.
I have done a lot of work.
Binders worth of work.
Yes.
And so how much have you been paid by the state or by the county?
I don't know exactly, but it's probably about $200,000, which is a lot.
All right. Now I want to talk to you a little bit before we get into details about it. The nature of the house flipping business.
Okay.
I think you talked a little bit about this on direct. But the idea of someone who's in the business of flipping houses is you want to buy a property that appears to you to be undervalued for sale. Is that fair?
Well, you want to get a good deal on. Is that what you mean?
Sure.
Yes.
So you look for something that maybe is a little below the value of the property.
Fair enough. Yes.
And the idea is you do just a little bit of rehabbing, right? You don't want to sink a ton of money into it or you're going to not make a profit.
Well, it depends, right? It depends. I mean, it depends on where where it's located and what's the upside.
Yeah.
Ms. Richins' properties spanned a lot of those. Some of them were very small, easy fixes and flips. And then like the one that we were talking about, the Mill Creek project, that was enormous. The Provo project was enormous. So it could be any of the above.
Sure. But if you want to make money, the goal is to do as little rehabbing as you need to flip the property. Is that fair?
I think that's fair. Sure.
And as I would say, put a little spit and polish on it and then get it ready for sale, right?
Fair enough.
Okay. And then the goal is to flip it as quickly as you can for more than you paid for it.
That's correct.
And enough more that it covers whatever you paid to spit and polish it.
That's the idea.
All right.
Objection to her ever saying spit and polish again. I think for the good of humanity, we can strike that from our collective memories. We already have enough trauma.
And the nature of this business is the goal is to hold that property for as short a time as you possibly can before you flip it.
Absolutely, especially because of the way the financing works.
Right. And let's talk about that.
Okay.
So because the goal is only to hold that property for just a really short time, you often use what are called hard money lenders, right?
That is true.
And we did hear you talk about that on direct, but just as a quick refresh, because I think that was 20 years ago, the hard money lenders lend money without all of the formalities that a bank requires to lend money, right?
For example, that is correct. For example, the underwriting process is almost nil.
And to sound really kind of juvenile about it, it's basically wealthy people that are willing to loan you money short term for a short period of time at a super high interest rate, right?
Right. And they assume the risk of that. And in exchange, they have very strict zero tolerance default clauses that make a loan just skyrocket in cost and interest if it's not met, if those terms are not met.
And the reason for that is this is a risky business. Yes? For both sides.
I'd say it's risky for the borrower.
And for the lender. Because they're not putting someone through all the vetting that a bank would. They're just trusting them that they're going to show back up in 90 days and pay them off.
But you're missing a key piece. They secure that property with their trust deed. So they've secured their collateral.
Totally fair. That's absolutely right. So riskier for the person that's doing the flipping by far than for the hard money lenders.
Yes.
But the hard money lenders generally do not expect to get paid monthly payments in between when they loan the money and when they get paid back. Fair?
Well, it depends. And I think that's usually a true statement. Kouri Richins had most of her loans that were like that were 6-month balloons. There was nothing expected. In fact, when the subpoenas went out, I expected to get all these ledgers back, and nobody has a ledger because they didn't care. They just knew when the balloon was due, and they were going to get their money or their property.
Exactly right.
Miss Richins had 3 property. Well, she had 2 lenders that had monthly payments.
And because of what you just said, the hard money lenders have what we call a promissory note, just a promise that if I don't pay you like I promise on this note, you can get the value, you can get the property and sell it yourself and recoup your money, right?
Yeah, there's a promissory note on any kind of a loan.
So when you put all those loans up there, they're backed by the collateral, the house.
Can you clarify which loans I put up where?
Sure. And that was a broad statement. So
I just want to make sure we're talking about because the loans I put up there are the payday loans, and those are different.
I'm talking about the hard money lenders.
Okay.
When you showed some notes, for example, where I think Matt Strong paid a couple $1 million on one property. Somebody else paid $300,000 on another property. All those loans were backed by the property. They were totally secured.
For the first position lender, they're totally secured. The others are secured with the property, with the caveat that they are in second, third, and fourth position. For example, the Midway House, the Legacy Way House, the second, third, and fourth position lenders did not recoup any of their funds on that.
Well, we'll get to that in a minute.
Okay.
But if Kouri were to default on a promissory note and they went after the property and took it and sold it, Kouri would owe $0 because they would have recouped their note from the sale of the property.
That's true. She'd owe $0 and she would have made $0.
Right, but she'd owe $0.
That's true. That's true. Yes.
Okay.
Well, I'm sorry. It's probably, she would probably owe $0. I don't know. They could go after her for the residual. I don't know of a situation where that happened here, but
okay. Did you do any analysis of the average length of time Kouri held the properties before she would flip them?
No.
Okay.
I do know about every property, but I haven't compiled that into a schedule.
Did you mentioned you interviewed, I believe, some of the hard money lenders. Is that right?
That's right.
And prior to let's do this. Prior to Eric's death, every one of those hard money lenders got their money back from properties they gave to Kouri, or properties that they lent money to Kouri on, correct?
Let me think about that. Prior to Eric's death.
Yes.
No, that's not true. There's one of her early projects, I think it's Casperville, where she ended up $28,000 in the hole.
Okay.
On that project. So she walked away with no buyer proceeds from that. And that was not a successful project. And I haven't looked to analyze who got what, but that would be a situation where not everybody got their money back.
Do you know whether she made them whole with her own funds or in some other way?
I have not seen anything that reflects anything like that.
So you don't know?
I don't know. No.
Okay. So except for one occasion, on all these other deals that were done before Eric's death, all the hard money lenders got their money back from the deals they did with Kouri, plus interest.
I would say that's probably true, but I may come up with another one. I try not to deal in absolutes.
She is now the fraud Jedi. She is not a Sith. She is not a fraud Sith. She is a Jedi. Maybe she's a gray Jedi.
All right, now I want to talk about these bank accounts.
Okay.
And I appreciate that you were trying to, excuse me. Sorry. I appreciate that you were trying to track insufficient funds, things that popped back. I call them in my parlance bounced checks. That's what I know them as and have done. when you were tracking these, did you ever go back and see how or if or when they were made whole?
They weren't made whole.
Okay. So the bank continued to keep open accounts where $300,000 worth of checks were bounced. And you're saying there's no resolution of that on either side. The bank that sent it, the bank that got it. It's just, they just let her continue to have checking accounts where she bounced over $300,000 in checks.
So can I answer your question
Sure.
with the description? So the Navy Federal accounts really never had any significant money in there at any time that I looked at. So there was no like deposit that came in 2 days later that just missed. There was never an attempt to try and cure that check on the Navy Federal side.
Let me stop you right there. Did you ever follow up and find out if Kouri made the person she wrote the checks to whole with another check out of another account in another way?
Well, we're talking about a couple of different things. The checks that I'm talking about are the ones that she wrote to herself.
Okay.
She's the payee. So then, can I come back to that question? I'm trying to answer the prior one. Okay. So on the Navy Federal side, no, there was never an attempt to cure that.
Okay, but wait, stop right there. On the Navy Federal account, she was writing checks to herself.
That's right.
So did you track whether she actually put money in the account where she put the hot check, as I would say, to cover it later?
Well, and that's what I'm getting to. Okay. So she writes a set of checks to herself, and they get deposited into either the Kouri Richins Realty 6577 or that Kouri 5244. Those checks go in, and eventually, so they're returned unpaid by the bank, and so that makes the balance go way in the hole.
Sure.
Eventually, there are funds that go back to the account.
That's my point.
And my understanding of how banks work, banks and credit unions, they work, in answer to your question or your wondering about why would they allow her to continue going if she's bouncing all these checks. Financial institutions don't look at just this account or just the accounts by this person. They look at the relationship. And so we've also got Eric and CME Masonry and whatever else. And so they will look at it from a business point of view. They don't want to kick her out because they've got another account that is making them money or is being dealt with differently. So that's the answer to your question, why they wouldn't just cease and desist and kick her out of the bank.
Because somewhere in these accounts, there's enough to cover these bounced checks, or they would shut that down.
The way you're saying that is not correct, and that's not what I...
Listen, Gollum, I'm gonna need you to turn those Manson lamps around. Yeah, I don't know. Your mean mug is ridiculous. You look like a Pomeranian. Okay, no one is afraid of Chihuahuas. So you can take that mean mug wherever you want to take it, but it's intimidating no one.
just said.
Okay.
They will look at the totality of the relationship and they want to honor that relationship. There's not a scenario in which they would dip into C&E's account to pay Kouri Richins or Kouri Richins Realty's checks. So that's an important distinction of where I would quibble with what you're explaining.
Okay. I never saw anywhere in your myriad of check statements that we went through that there was one where she was a negative $300,000. So those checks were covered. Yes?
No, they weren't.
Okay.
No. Can I please explain what the negative 300,000 is? So it's...
Oh my God, are we legitimately having defense attorney girl math try to talk to an actual accountant? Like, no, you don't understand. So like at the end of the year, she didn't have a negative 3,000. So those checks didn't bounce. My head hurts. Oh my God. This is hurting my... Kathy, dear Lord.
It's a simple exercise where I looked at the bank account statements and I just added up the transactions that she tried to pay. And not all of those were paid. A lot of those were returned unpaid. So I'm not making any judgment call. I'm not making any conclusion other than looking at that Kouri Richins Realty account 6577. That is what she tried to pay unsuccessfully without a fee.
And then other funds went into that account subsequently.
Right.
Every time.
Well, eventually, yeah.
Okay. That's
Yes.
it. All right. Now, I also noticed when you're putting up all these accounts, I didn't see any of Eric's. Did you analyze how much money Eric had?
I did look at their family accounts, and their family accounts, you know, when I'm looking at an account, it's really easy to try and get kind of a cadence or an understanding of how that account is used and the characteristics of that account.
Kouri, you are fined. I have told you to stop doing the lip thing. Also, could you look more insufferable? I have never seen someone go from actually looking like a damsel in distress to looking insufferable, but this woman has achieved it. Well, Kouri, you can be smug all you want and you can argue that you are a great business owner, but I think you're going to be doing it in orange.
kind of a cadence or an understanding of how that account is used and the characteristics of that account. The family account, as opposed to the K. Richins Realty and Kouri's personal account, was consistent. It always had a balance. That's where Eric's paycheck went in.
Let me stop you right there. Apart from Eric's paycheck, where else did all the money from the family account come from? Apart from Eric's paycheck.
There were distributions that came in from Eric's work, and there were occasional, I know you've asked me this question before, and Kouri Richins did not put more money into that account than Eric Richins did.
Did she put a lot of money into that account?
She did put a lot of money into it, yes.
And that account was used for family, for paying mortgage, for paying trips, all their personal expenses, right?
Not all of them, but that is the family account. That's where the kids' expenses were paid. Not all credit cards were paid from there because not all credit cards were family credit cards.
And Kouri was regularly contributing to that account out of her business accounts.
I would not agree with that statement.
Okay. So we know Eric's paycheck goes into the family account.
That's
what
right.
about the other accounts you mentioned for Eric? You said Eric had a separate account.
There was a personal checking account, and I had reviewed that initially. It looked like it was squarely Eric's account, and the 5244 was squarely Kouri's personal account, and so I kind of set those aside. She used her personal account for her personal expenses, and he used his for things that appeared to be his.
And you do not know the arrangements that Kouri Richins and Eric Richins had as a couple about when they would make money available to each other, did you?
I don't.
Okay, so how much money was in Eric's personal account?
Habitually, there was enough to pay whatever was attempted to be paid from it. I know that my recollection is it had, 10,000, 20,000, something like that. I don't recall it bouncing checks, and I don't recall it going into the negative.
Okay, but you did not provide that to the jury to review in terms of assets that were out there for this family.
Objection, Your Honor.
Based on.
Your Honor, can we approach?
Of course.
Sidebar. Get your drink on. It's a sidebar. Get a sidecar. Sidebar. Get your drink on. It's a sidebar. Get your sidecar.
Multiple hours of your direct, anything about that account that Eric had.
No, that's correct.
And you also mentioned you looked into C&E accounts.
That's right.
And C&E is the name of Eric's business.
Eric and Cody, right, his business partner.
Right. And that's where he kept his business profits, correct?
They kept theirs, yes.
Okay. And I didn't see,
No, Kouri didn't have any control or access to the C&E account.
you understand they're married.
I understand that they're married, but that is not, that's a business account that was shared between two business partners.
Okay. But business owners can do something called a draw, right? What's a draw?
Your Honor, objection. Scope.
Yeah, you're going to help me out. Do you want to approach for a minute?
No, daggone it. For the love of Cheetos and Flabitos. Sidecar. Sidebar. Get your sidecar. Right after again. And I think we're on 52. Now that I think about it. I am flabbergasted that she's like, no, she didn't bounce, $300,000 worth of checks because the bank still let her keep an account. You guys, what in the hell is this testimony?
And his partner. The C&E accounts, that's the business accounts that Eric and his partner put money in for their business, correct?
That's where the revenues and their expenses were paid, yes.
And the jury saw multiple examples of C&E checking accounts today during your direct, did they not?
That's right.
And routinely, the dollar amounts in those accounts were in the strong six figures, correct?
Routinely, yes.
Okay. And you don't know what arrangement Kouri Richins and Eric Richins had about whether or not he would invest in her business, whether or not he would be a silent partner, whether or not he would help her fund her business. You don't know that, do you?
No.
Okay. All right. I want to talk a little bit about the Barney house, Chelsea Barney's house. You guys spent a couple hours on that, or about an hour and a half on that today in direct. And as I understand your testimony, Ms. Barney was going to provide $45,000, or did provide $45,000, which you traced all through Ms. Richins' accounts, to Ms. Richins to be used at a closing in the future, correct?
To be used at a closing that day.
They never had the closing.
Well, they didn't.
Right.
My understanding of that whole text string is that there was this closing that was going to happen imminently, and this was the $45,000 down payment that Chelsea was paying toward the house to then be in her name.
Right. And the $45,000 Well, strike that. Let me back it up just a little bit so it's not confusing. Kouri Richins Realty had already purchased the Chelsea Barney home prior to all this, correct?
That's right.
And you went through all the efforts she was making to try. Well, let me ask it this way. When it's first purchased, the idea was probably to flip it, right? Like she does all her business.
No,
She was going to keep it.
she was going to keep this one.
Okay, but she had hard money lenders the same way she did on her other flip properties.
Well, she's got those two different kinds. She's got the hard money where she's got a 6-month balloon and she doesn't have to pay anything in between. And then she's got the other ones where she has a due date, a maturity date, and she has to make those monthly payments. This was one of those. And so her original loan was due January 8th of 2022. And that's about the time that this transaction with Chelsea is going on.
Okay. And as you explained in your direct, she was trying to shop around for a long-term mortgage to get better terms of the mortgage, right?
Right. With David Ige and Excel, she's trying to refinance a few things.
Right. And while she's looking for a new mortgage package, Chelsea sends her this $45,000, right?
No, I think I could be wrong about this. She had been dealing with David Ige since August and September of 2021. It was right about this time that everything just fell apart because he needed wet signatures from Doreen and he never got those.
Okay, so
everything
try
fell
to
apart.
focus on my question if you can.
Okay.
While Kouri's looking for a new mortgage lender, a new mortgage package, during the time that she's shopping for people and you kept putting up all the ways she's trying to get new lending, that's when Chelsea provided to Kouri the $45,000.
I don't know. I don't know what she's thinking. I don't know what she's doing. What I can say in response to your question is that I'm aware that she had been dealing with David Ige on a number of properties over a number of months. I don't know who else she might have been shopping, looking for a new loan. I know that she had a deadline and she had extended that loan.
Okay, I thought you said she was shopping with Excel.
She was.
Okay, so that's one person she's shopping for, right? You brought that up.
I'm not trying to argue with you.
Okay.
I'm trying to understand and answer your question. You said she's shopping to all these lenders. I don't know that. I know that she was consulting with David Ige and had applied for a loan to refinance a number of properties through him.
Okay.
And there were 3 different phases with him trying to get that funding. Doreen was brought in trying to get that funding, and it did not come to pass.
Exactly. So the $45,000 was not put in a trust account at a closing firm, right? It was given just to Kouri.
That is true. And
Please
Okay.
wait and let me just ask
Sorry.
my questions.
My apologies.
So the $45,000 is given to Kouri, not in trust, not to be held, was given to Kouri, correct?
That's right.
Okay. As long as Kouri Richins shows up at the closing, whenever it's set with $45,000, she's complied with her agreement with Chelsea, correct?
I suppose that would be true.
So if Kouri knows that she's got money coming prior to that closing that will more than cover the $45,000, and she uses the money quickly to pay some quick debt, she still hasn't violated her agreement with Chelsea if she shows up at the closing with $45,000, correct?
Your Honor, foundation.
Overruled. Go ahead.
I believe some of that requires a legal conclusion. I'm not a lawyer, and that's for the jury to decide. If in that scenario that you've described, that would be her kind of floating that money,
Right.
Just saying, I know eventually I have to come up with $45,000,
Right.
So in your scenario, okay.
Okay. And then what happened before they got to the closing? Do you happen to know?
I'm sorry, that's a big ambiguous question. No, I don't. Okay. I don't know what you're after.
Do you know whether Kouri was arrested before they were able to do the closing?
Kouri was arrested 14 months later.
Are you talking about the closing on Chelsea Barney's house?
I think what you're asking me is, so Chelsea Barney gave her the money in January of 2022.
Mm-hmm.
Eric died in March of 2022. Kouri was arrested in May of 2023, coming out of the title company in which she borrowed $95,000 using that home as collateral.
Okay.
Along with the Roy house that Kouri also owned. And then she used that $95,000 for debt payments of her own.
Okay.
So is that the closing you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So then I want to talk to you about the HELOC. Katie, can you please bring up 5-89D? This is in evidence, Your Honor.
All right.
All right. And that's where you kind of kept track of the balance on the HELOC, right?
This is correct.
And Katie, can you blow up the dates across the top line? Make them bigger. That's good. So this begins in March of 2019 when the first 50,000 or so was drawn down out of the HELOC, correct?
60,000. Yes. And can I say something about the dates before you continue?
No, I appreciate you waiting on my question. So from 2019 until 2020.
Again, this defense has been uncommonly abrasive. I don't know if Kathy maybe isn't as nimble on her feet, so she has to ask those exact questions in her head. But the only one who has improved at all has been Skippy, the lawyer. Kathy and Bart Simpson are just unnecessarily abrasive.
There was a significant amount drawn down on the line of credit, correct?
That's correct.
And then it looks like in November of 2020, there was a nice little payment made that made it smaller.
It was in October.
October, thank
Yes.
you. Looks like November on that, but I believe you.
Stop making terrible mistakes.
Eric Richins' sister testified that Eric became aware of the use of this HELOC back in 2020, and it precipitated his creation of a trust. Would it be fair to say that if he knew about this back in 2020, for the whole rest of that chart, Eric is still utilizing the HELOC, Eric and Kouri?
Objection, Your Honor, calls for speculation.
Sustained.
Is it fair to say that there's no more significant payments made by either Eric or Kouri all the way up until Eric's death?
There's never evidence that Eric made a payment. So,
All right.
yes,
So is it fair then to conclude that if he knew about this in 2020 and never made a payment until his death 2 years later, that he was aware of this and could have checked it at any time? His name is on the account, right?
Objection, Your Honor, calls for speculation.
Sustained.
His name is on the HELOC, right?
that's correct.
So is in all your experience and your expertise, if he calls the bank and says, hey, what's the balance on my HELOC? And it's in his name, as you said on your exhibit, they're certainly going to tell him, right?
Objection, Your Honor, calls for speculation.
It lacks foundation.
Your Honor. Okay, let me ask it another way. Eric's name's on the HELOC. You put that evidence in yourself, right? Yes.
That's correct. Yes.
As an owner of a HELOC, do you have access to your own statement balance at any time you want to look at it?
Yes.
Okay. All right, now I
Eric,
want to talk
what
about,
a
you can take that back,
moron.
thank you. I want to talk about the tax returns. And I just want to make sure I got this right, because I hear the word tax and it's not my favorite word. You're basically saying that she over-reported her income on her taxes. Is that fair?
No. Well, the net income. What I'm saying is the accounting that she gave to her tax preparer, her CPA tax preparer, for the expenses on her properties did not match what her own notations in her bank account.
So because of that error, she paid too much taxes, in your opinion, like a lot too much taxes.
She had a larger tax liability. And remember, I also said there's that big category of loans, all those.
Lawyer, I know you're trying to make it seem like Kouri, out of the kindness of her heart and good citizenship, paid more taxes, but no, she lied to the IRS. And she lied to try to defraud people of investment money. This is not her like, oh my gosh, she just didn't take her deductions. No, this is all the fraud. But way to try to make a silk purse out of a sow's ear. I just don't think that, in the words of Project Runway's Tim Gunn, make it work, but I just don't think it's gonna happen.
Payday loans are not on the CPA's financial statements. Like for 2021, for example, there's nothing.
Well, and if she'd have reported the loan, she'd have paid even less taxes, right?
Absolutely.
So she way over-reported her taxes and paid too much taxes.
Whether or not she actually paid them, that's a different story. But the tax liability was significantly larger than it would have been had she accounted for everything correctly.
And you stated through Mr. Bloodworth that it's possible she did this just to look successful to people.
That is not what I said.
Okay.
And a note about the 2019 tax return, I don't know if it was ever filed.
Well, that's a good point.
I do know that she prepared it and she did submit it to the government as part of her PPP loan forgiveness.
Did you ever review the packet of information of what she actually did submit to her accountant?
Yes, I've looked at every page.
And do you have any evidence as you sit here today that she ever provided proof of that tax return to any of her hard money lenders?
I don't know which, other than giving, submitting it to the government and through UCCU Credit Union for that loan forgiveness. I don't know if she ever showed that to anybody else.
So it's fair to say that if she never did, it's pretty hard to argue the whole reason she way overpaid her taxes was to look successful to people if she never shared it with anyone. Fair?
No, because
No, I think people who lend out money, aren't stupid. They, yes, are engaging in high risk behavior, but they do their due diligence. So I'm sure they're going to look at tax returns because I think they are, or ask for tax returns so they can see if this person is a risk or not.
talking about just that one tax return. Greg White did not prepare that tax return. Greg White prepared other tax returns for her.
Do you know how Greg White is related to Eric Richins or to Kouri Wright? I'm sorry, his business partner?
No, I don't.
Okay. Did you know they were family?
No.
Okay, so now I want to talk about also just very quickly, because I'm about to wrap up and I don't want to leave this behind. When we were talking about the bank statements that you put on, you don't know, you don't have any personal knowledge as to how Kouri got the C&E bank statements, do you?
I do.
You know how she got them?
Yes, I do.
How do you know that?
I've interviewed Kouri Wright, and he has there was a time when, well, there are two reasons why she would have had access to those.
Okay, let me stop you. So you're speculating on how she could have gotten them, right?
No, I'm telling you what I understand from my work.
Okay.
Okay. So there was a time when Kouri Wright and Eric Richins, being the business partners, had their wives associated with the back office kind of stuff, doing the books for the business and that sort of thing. And there was a time that those responsibilities were shifted only to Cody's wife and taken away from Kouri Richins.
When was that?
I'm sorry, I don't recall.
Okay. So stop there.
Okay.
The statements you introduced today from C&E were all in 2021. Do you know whether or not Kouri had those responsibilities taken away from her prior to 2021?
I don't remember what he said.
Okay. So if her responsibilities were taken away from her by 2021, do you have any knowledge of how she would have gotten those C&E bank statements?
My understanding is the family computer at the house was actually the C&E laptop, I should say. And I don't know if it was the C&E, but it was a C&E.
So she could have pulled it off her husband's computer, right?
That's possible.
Or her husband could have pulled it off his computer and handed it to her.
He could have. That would have been a really curious thing for him to do.
Okay. But you don't know.
No.
All right. Now I want to talk about the profit and the taxes, the profit and loss analysis, all of these things that you were doing. Is it fair to say that someone who's not a you, someone who's a me, who barely can balance their checkbook, that we judge our success on what we report to the IRS every year? Did we make money? Did we lose money? Is that fair?
1 second, Ms. Garrington.
Kind of calls for speculation, not sure foundation, not sure where we're going, really.
I'll give Ms. Nestor some limited latitude. Let's see where this goes, Ms. Nestor.
Is that fair that the average person that's not a financial expert, if you said, did you have a good year financially, you look at your taxes and say, yeah, I made money this year?
And thank you, Judy, for joining the Church of Mo. Welcome. We have dark chocolate, sarcasm, and, well, apparently we are immune to girl math, unlike this lawyer. Oh my gosh. If anyone who can take a screenshot, I need grok, JKD Buck, I need you to grok the state's attorney's face. I don't know how, but I need to make a song about the face you make when you realize your opponent only knows girl math. But this, holy goodness, look, State's Attorney Mr. Bloodworth, you really haven't been my favorite, although you do always remind me of Paul Lind, and I loved him. But for some reason, you remind me of John Cryer in this moment. So, Ducky forever. Ducky, I will always love you.
I think first it would be, do I have money in my bank account? Can I pay for groceries after I pay my car payment?
Okay.
That sort of thing. If we're talking about just the average kind of concerns that a person or family would have, I will say yes, that what you're talking about does play into that. I don't know if that's the first place I would look. I'd look at my day-to-day, but I think I understand what you're saying, and I would say that that's part of it.
Okay. Do you have any reason to believe that there was that there was some forensic financial person back in 2020, 2021, 2022, reviewing Kouri's business for her and doing what you've done here today?
I doubt very much that there was much of any of that. There's no QuickBooks evidence that I can find. I have not seen any ledgers. The stuff that Kouri Richins submitted to her CPA was on spreadsheets, and it was very, very, very detailed. It just wasn't correct.
Okay. So, and you certainly concede that what you're doing here today is looking backwards in time and trying to analyze things that happened in the past with someone you've not been able to talk directly to, correct?
That is correct. I've not spoken to Kouri Richins.
So you don't see in all the hundreds and thousands of documents that you reviewed to come up with your conclusions today, you never saw any suggestion that there was someone auditing her business?
No, I think that would have been a benefit to her.
Sure would have. You never saw anybody.
She's like, bitch didn't even have a calculator as far as I'm concerned. And she didn't even use her fingers and toes. She would have benefited from wearing flip-flops. She's like, if she had known anyone that could count, if she had access to a Casio calculator. Oh my God. This witness is the best.
Doing a profit and loss analysis by property in her company, in her business for her.
Her tax accountant was doing that based on the stuff that she gave to him.
Yeah, and you said he got it wrong, right?
Based on the stuff that she gave to him, sure.
And you didn't see that she was conferring, you didn't see emails with financial advisors or business advisors?
No, there's an email string between her and Matt Strong where they talk about how to reduce tax liability by retaining rental properties.
And she was getting advice from him, right? Because she didn't know that stuff. And he was helping her.
I don't know why.
You read the email.
In that specific instance,
Why do you have a business if you don't know how to do this stuff? I mean, call me crazy, but I this is why I call my channel a semi-profitable hobby, because look, I am very aware that I am not an accountant type person, but numbers have to make sense, and I'm glad that they make sense to some people. Oh my gosh, why do you have a business with great liability if you don't understand what the hell you're doing? It seems like you would research or something before you started a business in something you have no freaking clue about. Um, I'm not saying that the Tyler Robinson trial is gonna be a bloodbath, but, this is not looking good for him.
but I'm sorry, I thought your question was a little more general. No, I don't think she was, I think she was so busy running her business, acquiring properties, trying to fix them up, acquiring funding, capital, wherever she could grab it, that the tracking of finances was completely just not on the priority list.
And you don't have any personal knowledge as to how involved Eric was with her. If she talked with him about it every night, if she talked with him about it every morning, you don't know.
No, I do not.
And did you even know that the day he died, he was out working on one of her properties, spreading gravel? Did you even
I do know that.
Okay. And you don't know whether or not she got advice from other people besides her husband, Matt Strong. You don't know.
I don't.
Objection, Your Honor, misstates the testimony.
Overruled. The jury can hear both pieces of what Ms. Carrington just said.
And speaking of Matt Strong, there was one thing I did want to bring up. Katie, just for the witness only, Your Honor, could we please pull up Exhibit 1066? Did you review this when you were looking at all of your documents?
Yes, I did.
And you relied upon this in terms of making conclusions about potential rehab of the Midway Mansion?
I did, absolutely.
Okay, Your Honor, I move to admit Exhibit 1066.
I can't, Kate, can you zoom in? I can't see what it is. Okay, from that. Kouri. So the bottom half is from Kouri, right?
Yes, sir.
And are you seeking to admit the entire thing or just the top half?
Yes, sir, the entire thing.
I think her 1066, so her tax magical paper. Oh, we must be at another sidebar. Get your margarita on with sidebars. There'll be sun.
Regarding Kouri's side of this conversation assistant.
Without revealing what is in this email or commenting on what was said in the email, once you read this, plus the email that we put up on the screen that showed Ms. Richins did not have the $3 million available to rehab, is it your understanding as you were doing your analysis that there was never an intent to do a significant rehab on the Midway property?
I understand that's kind of where she landed.
Okay. Court's indulgence for just 1 minute. I'm very close.
No problem.
Ew.
I do want to talk about one more thing before we wrap up, and that's this concept of valuation.
Okay.
You made a statement that a house is valued at whatever someone's willing to pay it for it, right?
That's not just my definition. That's the IRS, and that's business valuation.
Me, if
Like you
I had two houses and I decided I wanted to give you one for a great deal because I think you're great, and I said, you know what, Ms. Carrington, I'm going to sell you my house for $5. It doesn't mean that my house is valued at $5. It means that's what the value you put on my house or that I put on my house, right?
That's the value that you put on your house, I suppose. Yeah,
Right.
sure.
And the county, every year we get a little letter from the county telling us what they think our house is valued at, and that's what they tax us at, right?
That is the assessed value. That is not what they actually think it's worth, but that's the assessed value.
And it's kind of a rule of thumb that the county actually does us a break and usually values it way below what it actually is, what you could sell it for.
Yeah, they at least in Salt Lake County, which is the county where I'm most familiar, they do it every 4 years, and they draw it from comps, comparable properties.
Right. And so you're certainly not suggesting to this jury that the Midway Mansion was only worth $2.9 million just because that was the purchase price, right?
I think every indicator is that it wasn't worth a whole lot more than that.
Do you know what it actually ended up selling for?
I do.
How much did it actually end up selling for?
It was about 3.4 million. Matt Strong sold the note. It's a complicated transaction, but Matt Strong foreclosed on it.
And wait, stop right there. He foreclosed on it after Kouri was arrested, correct?
It was in the works already. I think the actual notice of default was filed shortly after
Kouri was arrested.
Right, like 4 days after, but it had been coming for many months. I mean, we have to look at the totality of the circumstance. She had defaulted on this many months before, and there were indicators that this was coming one way or another.
If Kouri had been able to stay till the very bitter end when the sale was made, they would have made $1.5 million.
No, nowhere close.
No.
What did you just say they sold it for?
He sold it. He sold the note. So this,
Not the note. What did they sell the house?
but this is part of the transaction. Okay. He sold the note to the current owners. So what that meant is he sold the rights to collect on this debt from Kouri Richins. And at the time, he sold that for $3.7 million. And then it went into the trustee sale because it was foreclosed. And the Harns, the current owners, paid $3.4 million for that property.
So the current owners that live in it now bought that property for $3.4 million about 2 years after Kouri bought it for 2.9.
Let me do the math. They bought it so she bought it in March of 22. I think it's a year and a half.
Better. 18 months later, they made
Somewhere like that.
about $500,000 in profit.
But no. Because they bought it from themselves.
Okay. What was the purchase price that it was ultimately sold for?
3.4 million, but they bought it from themselves.
I understand. Do you know the condition of the property when they bought it for 3.4 million?
I do.
Okay. Had they rehabbed it?
No.
So they hadn't done anything to it and they sold it for 3.4.
And they also hadn't dealt with the Army Corps of Engineers.
So had they been able to do all that, it would have realistically sold for more.
No,
If
it depends on
okay, let me understand your question. If it's completed, finished, and all the issues with the wetlands and having to grow the new plants and all that stuff, if that's all, I would think it's worth more.
Okay. Now, you're here today to give a snapshot of a financial condition at a certain moment in time, right?
No.
Okay, let me rephrase it. You're here to look backwards at Kouri Richins' financial situation, right?
Could you please restate that? And what time frame are you looking?
Backwards, the past.
From today?
From today, backwards from today, you are here to evaluate in the past what Kouri Richins' financial situation.
No projections for the future.
Correct.
Kathy, get a Snickers because bitch does not look good on you. This witness has been nothing but nice, and you have continued to not match energy. At least Skippy, the lawyer, learned and has actually been your most proficient lawyer now. But you and Lady Bart Simpson are horrific and really need to learn that you don't need to be abrasive. You don't need to eat a Snickers. Seriously. Hangry doesn't look good on anyone.
Okay, yes.
And I say that about me
But
too.
certainly, and you're here to do that, to come up with your conclusion that at the time that Eric died, she was financially, I believe your words were, in distress. That's your conclusion.
Yes.
Okay. And certainly you would agree with me that every single person who's in financial distress does not opt for a solution of murder to fix their distress.
Objection.
Is that fair?
Your objection, Mr. Glover?
Speculation.
Sustained.
What the shit kind of question is that?
If in fact Ms. Richins was in financial distress, you're not here to say she killed her husband, are you?
That's for the jury to decide. I am not making any conclusion about that at all.
Because you don't have any knowledge about that at all.
Well, that's
Objection, Your Honor.
That's answered. Sustained.
Do you want to build a defense? Would you like to have a plot? Do you want to get this heifer out of jail? What in the name of most people pile bankruptcy. They don't kill people. Did she watch the Paul Canero trial and she's like, I'm gonna follow that?
Do you have any knowledge personally about whether or not on the night of March 3rd, Eric Richins voluntarily ingested
Ms. Nestor.
fentanyl?
Ask the answer.
That question that I just asked?
When she said she doesn't know anything about that, she meant she doesn't know anything about it.
And nothing in all the 100 and some thousand pages that you reviewed. Did you ever see any statement by Kouri Richins written down to anyone, to any of our investors, to anybody, saying, I know I'm going to fix this problem. I'm going to kill my husband and they'll have plenty of money?
Objection, Your Honor.
Did you ever see any of that?
Overruled. Ms. Carrington, you can answer the question.
there's an email between her and Matt Strong where she talks about the inconvenience of being married.
Okay, that's
You know, let's go back and see that again because this might be Alanis Morissette. Are you anywhere near? I think we have a case of irony or unfortunates. Holy shit balls.
Did you ever see any of that?
Overruled. Ms. Karen, can you answer the question?
There's an email between her and Mount Strong where she talks about the inconvenience of being married.
Okay, so does that answer the question I just asked you?
You've asked, I'm not trying to create anything, but you said, is there anything that indicated anything? And, I don't talk like that.
So
How do you solve a problem like Eric? How do you get a man to pay your debt? He says we can't pay. He won't let me gamble our finances away. Oh, how do you solve a problem like a husband? How do you get him to pay and not ask questions? Look, the musical's coming. Holy Jesus, what the hell is this? I didn't think that Paul Canero's defense could be topped, but I think we might have just topped it.
apart from an email that she sent saying it was inconvenient being married, have you ever seen any suggestion in anything in writing that Kouri's financial plan was to collect on life insurance and pay all this money off? Have you ever seen that?
To collect the life insurance to pay everything off? No.
Thank you.
Mr. Black.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Carrington, in analyzing Kouri Richins and Kay Richins Realty's finance, did you see any evidence that Eric Richins or C&E was investing in her business?
Not really. There's the Franson Lane house in Oakley, where I can see some checks that were paid and they indicate a draw. So they're from C&E. They get deposited into Kouri Richins' bank account. And then when she sells that project in March of 2021, that's that big spike in my graph, that orange line that's bumping along the bottom and it spikes up. As soon as she sells that Franson Lane, the Oakley house, she pays C&E $217,000. That's about what they had paid in. And the memos on the check say, draw number 1, draw number 2, and they indicate that house. And I have talked to Cody Wright about that. And he said, he's explained to me what the arrangement was for that particular house. It was related to the fact that Eric had just learned about the HELOC and he was afraid of losing his house. And so that's why C&E was involved with that particular project. Absent that, I don't see any indicator that C&E or Eric was an investor or a participant in any of the transactions. He's not on any of the bank accounts. He's not on any of the real estate documents or loans or anything like that.
Does the accounting suggest that C&E money put into the Franson Lane project was a bailout?
I don't understand what you mean.
Was that money needed to see the project through to completion?
It spanned the rest of the project, if that's what you mean. And it was significant, and then they were paid $217,000, which was about so Kay Richins Realty and Kouri Richins got $406,000 from that, and then Kouri got $60,000 in commissions from that project. And then once that hit the bank account, other expenses, let me say that, were paid for that project, and then the $217,000. So whether or not that was a bailout, I don't know if that's how they would term it, but it's my understanding it was not expected as she went. Eric Richins and C&E did not expect to be participating in that project at the outset. It was somewhere in the middle.
Other than that Franson Lane project, any other C&E or Eric Richins involvement in Kouri Richins or her business activities?
No.
Turning back to the Midway Mansion, she closed March 5th, 2022. The value was $2.9 million, but she took out $3.2 million in loans. You said at some point through various trust sales, trust auctions, the house sold for $3.4 million.
That's right.
And before that, it was foreclosed on. Do you know when it was foreclosed on?
It was foreclosed in May of 2023.
So between purchase March 5th, 2022 and foreclosure on May of 2023, did the $3.2 million in debt on the house stay static?
No.
Did it grow?
It did. The clauses in the lending agreements, for example, the loan, the $2.6 million that the Sierra West and Mount Strong loaned to her. That loan agreement says you've got 6 months to repay this 2.6 million plus 15% interest. So it's due on September 4th of 2022. That's 6 months. And then the loan agreement also says if that does not happen, then there's a 2% default fee. And then that's about $50,000 tacked onto it. And then every month after that, it's another 2% that is tacked onto it. And it's still accruing interest. So, and it's capitalized, which makes a big difference. It's not just something else that's out there. It makes the loan principal larger. So that also increases the interest. And upon default, it goes from 15%, which is already expensive, to 28%. So the whole thing just kind of blows up.
So at the point Matt Strong and Sierra West foreclosed on Kouri Richins, how much did she owe on the Midway Mansion?
Let me think back. I think it's about 3.8 million at that time that she owed, that she owed on that note, and then it grew after that, continued to grow after that.
Thank you, ma'am. No further questions.
Ms. Nestor, within the scope of redirect, please.
Okay, you just testified that you were not aware of Eric being involved in any of the properties other than the Fransom Lane. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay, Katie, can you please bring up 5-93D2 just for the witness? Okay. So
Feels a
actually,
bit
this has
like
been admitted, Your Honor. Can we show it to the jury?
It's like someone from 2006 is like, what could go wrong with subprime mortgages?
So here you have Eric and C&E Masonry as a funding option for Kouri Richins. Is that correct on your own exhibit?
That's correct. So that's the 2020 to 2021 time period.
Right.
So she bought that Fransom Lane project and she was working on it in October of 2020. She ended up selling it in March of 2021. And so that's why during this time period, that's what I mean. It's the one project. I'm aware of a real estate schedule that she submitted to many of her lenders, and she includes projects that were Fox Lake investments that are Eric and Cody's, his business partners, and she included them as her own, but they were not her own.
Okay, so I'll get to Fox Lake in a minute.
Okay.
But are you aware that Eric was a lender on the Mill Creek property that he lent $40,000?
I did not see a trust deed or anything, so no, I'm not aware of that.
Okay. I want to talk about this Fox Lake business that you just mentioned.
Okay.
This is a business that basically was a flip business as well, right?
I think that was the anticipation, yes.
So Eric started his own flip business with his business partner. Is that right?
And they had a third partner as well.
And who was that?
It's like BlackRock and I'm sorry, I can't remember, but it's an LLC. It's a third party, not related to anybody we've talked about. So it's just completely separate and distinct.
Okay. And do you know whether Fox Lake would have been a separate entity from CNE?
I mean, like, were they a DBA or were they separate?
Correct.
Is that what you're saying? I have looked at that. I believe that they are separate, but
So
Not sure.
did you evaluate Fox Lake and the value of it?
the value of the company. I've looked at their bank account statements and I've traced their projects and they had nothing to do with Kouri Richins.
Okay, but just bear with me. What was the
A
value?
little bit.
Go ahead. What was the value of Fox Lake?
Okay, let me ask you to clarify your question. Are you talking about valuing their business?
Just how much assets did they appear to have in your analysis of them?
I know that they had a few projects, and I'm going from just their bank account statements and my 14 schedules that you have, the fours, those are every account I've looked at, and you can see that I have looked at them. The Fox Lake Investments, I know that they had a few projects. I really don't know much about them because they had nothing to do with the family, Eric and Kouri Richins. They had nothing to do with her.
So if there's a prenup that prohibits Kouri from recovering any assets from C&E, it wouldn't apply to Fox Lake because Fox Lake's a separate entity, correct?
Objection, Your Honor. Foundation.
Just think.
Is Fox Lake a separate entity from C&E?
I honestly can't remember. I know that they have a separate registration, but whether they are a DBA, doing business as, and so they're under the CNE, or whether they're separate, I just don't remember.
Okay. And at some point, was Kouri Richins listed on the Fox Lake paperwork?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Did you check that?
I did.
All right. And you also mentioned that you traced, strike that.
I need to say also, she's not a signer on the Fox Lake account.
On the
bank account,
right?
She's not.
Okay. And did you, just to make sure on the accountings that we're talking about, did you ever account for cash?
I'm sorry, which
Cash on
accountants?
hand, like cash that the Richins actually had?
I believe that the original inventory, but this is not in the confines of this case, Let me answer it this way. I understand that there was a safe in the garage, and I understand that there may have been a lot of cash there. That's outside of the scope of looking at the financial statements and things.
So if someone testifies to how much cash was in that safe, that is not accounted for anywhere in here in your asset evaluation.
No.
Okay. And you also,
I know there was like $10,000 or something in a backpack or something that was part of the search warrant.
okay,
And
that cash isn't in here either.
no.
And also,
I don't know anything about where it came from, whose it was. So no.
okay. And also, did you account for Kouri Richins' life insurance policies and their cash value anywhere in your asset evaluation?
No, because she's alive.
Okay, but you understand that some life insurance policies you can draw down out of, right?
I understand what you're talking about, but I think
So can you answer my question? Anywhere in your evaluation,
No.
did you include life insurance value that Kouri Richins holds on herself?
No.
All right.
Did she have a whole life insurance term? Because those generally require a significant, payment and investment in those. So you're basically, good Lord.
Did you also check on Eric Richins' life insurance policies if they were like whole life, where you can draw down out of them?
they're not whole life.
Okay, they're all term.
Yes.
And the dates of those policies, with one exception, all predated 2020 when he purchased those policies.
Well, they purchased the policies in 2017, I think.
Okay.
Except that last one.
The $100,000 one.
Right. That
Okay.
she got right before he died.
Right.
Yeah.
That's all I have. Thank you.
No, sir.
Ms. Nestor, may we release this witness?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Bloodworth?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Carrington, you are free to go. You're released from the subpoena.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Your Honor, can we approach on scheduling?
of course. We're going to recess for the day. As noted, we're going to start at 9:30 a.m. tomorrow morning. I appreciate your patience with my calendar. Same mornings. These require diligence, so please be thoughtful. You have to affirmatively avoid.
Okay, so what we are going to do is I have another stream with day 8 starting in 30 minutes. So you guys are going to be ported over there. I am going to take a quick break, eat my Uncrustable because I am 4.5 years old. But hey, I've actually had a protein shake and an Uncrustable today, so I'm proud of myself, which isn't great, but is better than everything. Well, better than I have been lately. So that is what I'm going to do. I'm also going to take a potty break. So get your emotional support snacks, get your stuff, and we will try to be getting through the morning of today so that we can get into the morning with Nick tomorrow. Now, I have sent Nick an invite to the afternoon stream or morning 8 stream. So if he gets off of work, he is welcome to join us. We'll probably be going until we have at least 2 hours to do tomorrow morning. So that's my goal, but I'm going to get off of here now. So yeah, because 6 children does not a strong bladder make. There will never be a trampoline stream ever. But get your emotional support snacks, get your lunch in, and we will be starting on day 8 in less than 30 minutes. So I hope to see you guys there. Thanks for hanging out with me. I appreciate it so much. And hopefully Nick will get off of work. If he doesn't need to crash right away, he'll hang out with us. But if not, maybe Dingus will hang out. He is hanging out with Mr. Mo today. The cats are all upstairs with him today. It's like they don't like me anymore. I will see you in just a few minutes, you guys. Bye.